Little ditty about this master plan. Gonna make a geode out of this flat land. Just look at the sky, that's like a hemisphere of stars. Seems all we'll need to do is plot the land like they are, such that it's plain.
Testing, testing.
All right, because I got the computer off. That's cool. So now I got this going good, I think. Well, I was actually just like rubbing them together vigorously. It was for unrelated reasons, though.
Yeah, how very Jayish of you.
Right, so to get together and chill out. We don't really have anything particular to talk about, but figured everyone would want to get together, and you guys usually have stuff to talk about when we do other stuff. So, who wants to come on up and chill? Let's see who we got here. Zetetic was complaining about people. I think some gripes that I shared personally or whatever.
Yeah, one thing I do want to say real quick, bro, like the kickback at Harrison after the debate was not advantageous, in case anyone was wondering. That was super detrimental. So I would encourage anyone that hears this to like chill out on that, you know, if it's not too late, because yeah. Anyway.
What was the kickback?
Well, yeah, like, you know, talking about how he's controlled op, he's an agent confirmed, and just talking reckless about him and talking reckless about Infowars. I mean, sure, maybe you think that or whatever, but you know, the objective was to set up a second real debate, and so that's not really. He did kind of kick the hornet's nest by posting that like anti-flat Earth nonsense, but anyway, I'm just throwing that out there. It'd be wiser not to do that, probably. We got Mindshock already slicing them up. I did a review, tried to be nice, but still kind of sliced them up. So I think that's plenty, right? We shouldn't like bombard him. I mean, he's gonna be less likely to want to, you know, do it again.
Yeah, I think it's part of the truth community's negative side to just call everyone a shill after at some point or whatever. So we got to stop that shit just essentially across the board.
I actually tried to give this like repetitive forewarning not to do that.
Did you?
I think you were trying to like have my back and stuff. Yeah, well, I mean, I did it on Discord, on X, on my YouTube, and on Globebuster. So I don't know.
Like, yeah, fair enough, but I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean.
Oh, it's all good. I'm just throwing it out there, and like moving forward, people should maybe keep that in mind. He said something on his show today about like so now that everything's kind of died down, I really I'm thinking about kicking the hornet's nest again. And yes, I'm talking about flat Earth. He said the kickback afterwards was really pretty annoying, but I think it's kind of died down. So we should just be cool. Just be cool, bro.
My echoey, you said?
Yeah, I've definitely was offended by the joke that he posted, and then realized later on that's a really clearly just a joke and not something that I need to be so upset about. The specifically pertaining to the one comparing flat Earth belief to transgender theory. I, I was like, well, that's a gross misunderstanding. I was super mad, but in retrospect, it's the dude's just, he thought it was funny and he posted it. Simple as that. And I don't think it's something we need to take too seriously.
Yeah, and it has a punchline. I mean, the best way to go about it in all scenarios is to be funny back. So you could obviously say something, just be funny. Funny always wins, but just being anything like these weird and obsessed anti-flat earthers is always a L.
Right, don't want, if you're acting like an anti-groupie, don't proceed or whatever. It's a good opportunity to stop and reevaluate.
And bro, I don't, I even try to tell people bro, I kind of have inside information. I don't think this is some elaborate CIA organized thing like that. I mean, it's just, dude, flat Earth is career suicide, bro. How do how do people not see that? If you don't have a big platform built off something else, and then you're faced with the decision of talking about it, then you really can't even relate, frankly. So I would do it. Same thing with, I would give all the, I wouldn't not talk about the truth for any amount of money, but I'm just saying it's easier said than done. If he is legit, or if they're legit, you're going to make it way more difficult, right, to walk it back, because you're going to make them defend themselves and dig their heels in. And Toby's mentioned that a lot, but that's just my opinion. My opinion is, you're not special if you find out about flat Earth, bro. It's just the Earth, man. You know what I'm saying? You didn't do anything independently significant to discover it. It's a truth for everybody. A lot of us have put in a lot of work. We found out a lot of stuff, and salute to everyone that's done what they've done or whatever. But yeah, it shouldn't be that. Shouldn't be the vibe. You know what I'm saying? It should just be bro, we just want you to see what we saw.
Yeah, it would be counter to all the special effort you put in to smooth that transition and wear the kid gloves and put on the best suit or whatever you did. That would definitely work against.
That's why I'm frustrated. That's why I'm saying something. Because I was so tactical about how I went about all that, and then for people to, I mean, I think a lot of them are even just trying to have my back, and that's why I'm saying it. Because it's ironically, it's kind of not doing that. So.
They have your back aggressively by screwing up all your plans or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm bro, chill, man.
Everyone calm down. It's fine, right? Supposed to get up here. What are you up to, JT? Who are you supporting vigorously at the moment or whatever?
Talking about me?
Of course, Mayor.
Dude, I'm just trying to be just a gentle person that's excited about flat Earth and learning the truth and being a truther. And I came onto X to just say, look, dude, Whatsit wasn't lying about Mr. F-15. I was on the Zoom call, bro. And that's my entry point. And somehow I've been tagged in almost every single post since. And I haven't blocked anybody. But what's really strange to me is all I've been is genuine and honest, and I don't think the Earth's spinning. I don't think it's orbiting the sun. I think it's an extended plane, topographical plane, and enclosed. These are my thoughts. These are my beliefs after looking at things. And people are they're responding to me being genuinely excited about the world we live in, saying that I'm super ego and I'm so arrogant and I'm satanic and I'm demonic and I'm gonna burn in hell for spreading this FE belief. And I'm like, bro, that's weird, because it's just like what Witsit said, it's just the Earth. If we were lied to about it, we're allowed, as human beings, we're allowed to research and investigate where we live. It's called science, and it's called being curious. And they're like, you're gonna burn in hell. It's just kind of really weird on X. So that's what I'm feeling. This.
Is that because you were engaging with the anti-flat Earth groupies like we advised against or whatever?
I don't know why they dogpiled me, dude. I'm just being myself and genuine, and there's 5 or 6 of them that just won't stop. But I'm not the type to just like block somebody or run. I'm like, hey, bro, I'm a good guy. I've been following the Messiah for 15 years, treating my wife well, raising kids well. Like, I'm a good dude. And they're just like slinging mud at me. And I'm just standing there like, this is ridiculous. And I'm not going to block you. And I'm not going to cuss you out. I'm not going to play your games. I'm just going to be me and speak my truth. And it's making them spiral like crazy.
It is a good point, and I think it's right to correct the phrasing that they're using, the psychology that they're approaching it with. And I've said it a few times now, and it definitely seems like another opportunity right here, where this guy's, or whoever they are, accusing you of, quote, spreading flat Earth belief. And I think that's where we need to draw a big fat line in the sand and say, no, actually, we're investigating flat Earth science. We're looking at the evidence. You know what I mean? This is entirely different from what they have in their head about what we're doing. And we need to really just correct them on the fundamentals of the perspective itself, the MO, and how it just does not match what they're saying at all.
Yeah, 100% stone. Because, like, like Sacred says, and like a lot of us say, if it's not moving and you can't find curve anywhere, what is it? And it's just like basic bottom line. And they want to say, "Nuh-uh, you're lying." I'm like, no, I'm not. But anyway, yeah, just I think if everybody will stand firm, and all I've got is me standing on the right. I have a right as a man, as a human. I have a right to ask questions and investigate. And they can't say no, you don't. They can't say, you don't have free thought. You can't believe and look into things. And and I'll stand proudly and say, no, I have that right, and you're just being ridiculous.
Well, you went right back to the B word though, but I get your point. Like this is what I think, man. I did start blocking people, so I don't care. Like I'm not like block happy, but if someone's 20, 30 comments in to just like berating me with insults, and then I take the time to type out like a informative, substantive response, and then they just say, then what about this? Or just insult me again. I mean, those people are quite literally useless, almost always anonymous, obsessive weirdos, right? Like,
100%. Yep.
yeah, I mean, they want, so like Shane actually made a post earlier that described it. It's like they're literally just after an emotional response. They want to like provoke you into some type of emotional response, and that's a dub for them. And it like breathes life back into the like dying embers that is their quote unquote online existence, Like, I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, if this sounds ugly or whatever, it's not. It's, like, I am like been so pro speech that I've let these people like stalk me for years. I mean, people can say whatever they want. That's the truth. But I just don't think that this is the time now where it doesn't matter what they say. They're irrelevant, right? Like they can scream over there with 27, impressions or whatever, because tons of people it's starting to bubble up. They can't do anything to stop it. So I think that our attention is better served towards people that are honest.
Absolutely. Dude, like what I do is when I see them comment, I'll make a general comment to not respond to them, address whatever stupid point they made, address to the general community, and move on. It's like, okay.
Like, think about it. If you're gonna say,
There's
I
like a
realize,
self-selecting group in a way, though, because
good.
Crypto's
Hold on,
delayed.
so just quickly, I was going to say that is a self-selecting group, though, because those people who actually are coming with honesty aren't going to come with that attitude in the first place.
Exactly. So it's almost effortless to exclude them, right? Like, because I was looking through some of my replies, and I even deleted a decent amount of them because I'm like, and they were actually informative replies and stuff, but they had 27, 48, 84 impressions. I'm like, why am I doing this? Why? Like, so would my time or JT's time or anyone on here's time be better served to like, reach larger groups of people and have and people that are asking honestly, like really put your energy into trying to explain the concepts to them, or like talk to someone that if Jesus himself floated down and told them, they would like make fun of him, like the people that would still defend the bioweapon, right? Like, are these really the kind of people we should be putting energy into? Like, they're still defending that, bro. Like, it's just my opinion. I think that we're kind of needed other places right now, because I can't reveal everything, but it's gonna be a very interesting year, bro. Some really big people are about to start bringing this up. So
Well, I can't stay long. I'm going to drop my mic in just a second, but I really enjoy the spaces where we can actually use our voice and speak and communicate. It is a rat race to get stuck in endless threads of just back and forth with like getting scattergunned or shotgun questions, and then of course they're going to make fun of the perspective azimuthal grid of vision, or whenever they look like post pictures of a sun like half set, and they don't understand how it could be merging into the horizon because we can't see forever. It's like they make fun of the silliest stuff, but they're making fun of reality and they don't know it. They're making fun of nature, like actual what's going on out there, because we were lied to about how it all works. And they're pointing at us like we're the biggest idiots in the world, but really we're the front runners that are figuring out what the deception is and what the truth is. We don't have all the answers, and they're almost like, gotcha, you don't have all the answers for the whole universe, gotcha. It's like, no, that's not how it works. Like, we're at the beginning of untangling a web of lies. And anyway, I'm proud of all of y'all. I'm enjoying doing my own just posts because I can say whatever I want and just like an open post. And I'm about to transition back to my YouTube channel where I start those interviews and just talk to people, because I think when other people can tune in to a couple folks talking chill and in depth about what we think it is, and there isn't a bunch of people saying nuh-uh, nuh-uh, and all that, they just hear us communicating well in love, then that's going to wake up a whole bunch more people. So yeah, I'm going to stop spinning my wheels with the anti-flat earth folks. But yeah, I'm going to dip out here in just a minute, but yeah, I love you all. You're doing great work. Keep it up.
it's actually super painful to watch you do it, bro.
Yeah, especially you.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's
Like, no, you're innocent. It's going. No, bring it back.
yeah, it's just
I mean,
funny
it's
because he's so nice, isn't he? You're such
yeah.
like such a respectful person, and just to see people being so disrespectful to you is just so unfair to you. But then I remember when I was a lot more respectful than I am now, so maybe I've been coarsened by this debate and you haven't yet. I don't know.
It's the epitome of the saying that people take kindness for weakness. It's literally the epitome of it. So it's rough. Like, that's why the one time I replied on one of the things, because I'm getting tagged in all these things because they're just like desperate for attention.
You gotta learn how to leave conversations, bro.
Yeah, so I just you can literally leave the conversation, right, Boston? You can mute them, you can leave conversation. But I said, they're just trying to suck your energy, bro. Like, they're like energy vampires. Because Run Boston's such a genuine, like, pure, intended person, right? Like, he's so sincere and he's like really wants to just like level with these people. Like, that's not why they're communicating with you, bro. Like,
But they love that energy. That's why they seek you out like mosquitoes.
It's funny. I mean,
What?
actually, Shane and I don't know if Alan was there, but Shane witnessed this earlier. Like, I was having a conversation where I was talking to person A, and then person B interrupted me, and then I interrupted their interruption, and then they were like, "See, I knew you'd say that," and I was basically pointing out that I would interrupt their interruption. And I was thinking, well, what else did you expect to happen? But then that whole thing was just to derail the point that was being made in the first place.
Well, I'll say this one more thing. These people don't know me. They don't know my history, and honestly, not everyone listening to my voice now even fully knows what I've been through. A lot of y'all do, and I went through 20 plus years of darkness and depravity, and I had a depraved mind, and I was lost and addicted to things, and that, self-sabotaging, just low self-esteem, completely jacked up in my entire universe worldview. Like, I was broken, and I got found. I gave my life to the Messiah. I started walking a new path. They can say I'm a fake Christian all they want. They have no idea my connection to the Messiah and my desire to bring glory to the creator of this place. And so I know they don't know me. So I think a lot, forgive them for they know not what they do. But even if they're shills and bots and trolls and all this and that, I'm still kind of turning the other cheek. And, they cannot do what they're doing forever and not have any like accountability or have any kind of health effects. Because if they're really this upset about this topic, that's going to come back on their health. Like I'm actually peaceful. Like when they're attacking me, I'm not getting upset. I'm just like, okay, dude, whatever. But so I'm good, but it is a waste. It is a little bit of an energy drain, but you know what? They're going to get it eventually. The masses are about to wake up, and everybody's doing great work. But appreciate the encouragement. Thanks for the laughs too. You guys are great.
Let
Do
me
you
say
guys-
one more thing. Let me say one more thing. If you're gonna do that, at least do it on like say one of my posts or something, right? Something that gets maybe like 100,000 impressions, right? So then at least if the honest viewer comes by, they see it. But if it's in one of these anti-flat earthers posts that like has no engagement and only does because people like you or I are there, that's where I'm saying like it's pissing into the wind, as they would say, right? Like just it serves a purpose on the bigger posts, right? Because people come by and they'll read the conversations and kind of learn things, but it's not really worth it outside of that, in my opinion.
Man, that's good advice with it. You know, I've even thought that it's a tactic to tie me up in no man's land over there. So disengaging from that and actually going to more stuff that's getting views is important. So yeah, I'll do better. And feel free to message me. Anybody, just message me and be like, dude, you got to get out of there, because I'm just chilling and just rocking and rolling with my truth. And I don't know. It's been a weird couple weeks on X, but I was there for a reason, and I made some bold statements to some people about what I believe and what I don't believe. And so maybe some seeds were planted, maybe they weren't. But yeah, I do appreciate y'all support and keep crushing. I got to bounce, but much love.
We love you, JT. Dude, do you guys remember when he talked to Xander the first time and like he was so like put off by the absolute just negative energy that he stopped and just prayed over him in the middle of the debate? We were like, oh yeah, that's Xander, dude. Welcome.
No, but I do remember when he talks to Nathan Oakley.
Oh man.
That was rough.
That was pretty rough.
Well, he told me he told me, okay, so that story was, I was asking him about light propagating, or, what light is. And I kind of was, hinting at the ether and there being a background medium. And I didn't know those were all like, no. I mean, I kind of knew, but I didn't really know. And then he was muting me and he told me he was going to rip my head off and shit down my neck. And I was like, oh, okay, buddy.
Lovely.
Somebody just saw Full Metal Jacket that week, I guess. But it's a systemic problem in that demographic, and I cite it back all the way back to schooling. And this is where I really place the blame, systemically speaking. And I'm going to inject a just imagine into your scenario here. Just imagine what social climate would be like today if back when we were in grade 8 or grade 3, let's be conservative, let's just say grade 8, and right about then they actually started to teach us in a way where we were developing our own skills we need to develop a life purpose. Just imagine if we actually were instilled with those skills when we started as teenagers, and how much that would cultivate as a usable skill now. And what would these people be doing instead?
Would you want fries with that?
No, just people thinking about it. That's all I want.
This is perfectly going to kind of elucidate the point. So you got Shane's post, open space to chill, whatever, right? And he just replied to a reply. Shane, right? You replied to a guy.
Yeah.
What did he ask you?
Oh, for the model?
Well, what was the question? He says right here: is there a unanimously accepted flat Earth model? Right. Now, question for you: does he know the answer to that question?
Yes.
Okay. So you answered it. You said no, and then what did he say?
Oh, I didn't actually read his
Okay, he said appreciate the reply. Okay, this is like so perfect timing. That's all he wants, bro, is some type of interaction. All these people just want attention. So
well, that's Ralph. Isn't he here now below us? Hey, Ralph.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll
you guys
just
are
say
masochists or something.
recently. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I mean, honestly, he's not the worst one, but he does respond a lot, which is why I typically don't read when he does like rapid fire responses. It's like, no, everyone gets one.
But don't you see how that's a terrible mentality? It's like, let's compare them to the worst ones. And therefore,
Yeah.
they're not that bad. Like, normal people don't act this way. Bro, I went around the
Oh,
whole
that's a
United
good
States.
point.
Dude, I was the annoying guy with a microphone. You know, like, have you ever been somewhere where someone has a microphone or a megaphone? It's like immediately just super annoying, right? Like, you immediately dislike that guy. Like,
That was you, but everyone loved you.
I was that guy. Plus, I was talking about flat Earth. Okay, people didn't even get close to acting like these guys do on the internet. So that should tell you all you need to know, bro. Like this isn't real world. These people wouldn't act like this in real world. Some of the people that act like this, they came and followed my tour in the real world, and they were not like that at all. They didn't have that same energy at all. So I think you get my point, right? Like there's a ton of people. There's hundreds of thousands of people. Well, actually, let's be real. There's like billions of people, right? But certainly millions and millions of people that haven't really heard our position. They haven't heard how researched it is. And like if you bring up any question, the average flat earther is just going to be like, you know, like they don't know that. They think flat earthers are just like stupid and don't understand basic things. Like that's what we need to do, right? Is focus on just kind of getting that out.
Yeah, and that's a good
I'm being
point.
reiterative.
The comparison, dude, because I didn't even know I was doing that. So thanks for calling that
Yeah,
out.
I mean,
It's like, yeah, that's a good call.
I think the first
And-
thing is that the threat of violence in person, and I'm not talking about you threatening people, but there's like a level of, oh, if I take this too far, this could end badly for me, which doesn't exist on the internet. And yeah, I think that's why people temper themselves a little bit, because I think also when there's like a third party observing an interaction, let's say you're just saying things in the street and someone comes up to you and starts beefing you, everyone else is seeing that. And if they get violent with you, people are going to leap in and help you, right? Because that's just generally how people are. There's a level of that in the real world that just doesn't exist on the internet. And I think that's why they think they can just get away with being so disrespectful.
Oh, that's
Yeah, and
100% what it is. You look them right in the eyes as a man, right? And it's like what you said is unspoken because that's just the way the world works. So it's totally different. It's like they end up telling me basically they're a fan and they've watched everything that I do. They just disagree with me. I'm like, well, that's crazy because what you say on the internet, right, is like the most disgusting things you could imagine, right?
That's your fan base. They all love hate you. It's crazy.
Yeah,
And-
a lot of them will secretly admire you as well, and that's the funny thing about it, is that there'll kind of there'll be an element of probably like a small portion of those people who actually wished that they were like you and want to be you, even though they'd never admit it.
Mhm.
Well, and they win by wasting our time, right? Like it doesn't even matter if they're right, they're wrong, if they insult us, if they don't insult us, whatever. Like none of that matters. Even if they sow doubt or don't sow doubt, all that really matters is they waste our time. If they manage to waste our time, that's a victory for them. And if you go back to 2015, look at just campaigns, electoral campaigns, they started paying bloggers to go astroturf on Twitter. People were being paid on public record to have certain political opinions on Twitter. So if that started in 2015, 2016, you can only begin to imagine where we might possibly be now as far as people being paid in some way, shape, or form to have certain opinions on platforms such as X and Twitter. So just also keep that in the back of your mind, like what that's why it's important to kind of try and get a gauge for how much the person really is looking for an honest engagement versus just trying to antagonize you. That's the big thing, is try to look for when people are antagonizing you, right? When their only goal is to bother you, to irk you so much that you have to respond. And that's usually the best sign that you should definitely not respond.
Very well put.
Just a small thing, but I don't know if you guys noticed how ironic it is that we've come to a Twitter space to discuss how space isn't real.
And I've been putting spaces faking game memes up just for like ironic purposes in the background, I guess. Or...
Yo, Did you hear who? I don't know if I should say it in here. I said it on my. I might have said it. I said it already publicly. Crypto. Did you hear who who follows me?
Go on.
Tate.
Really?
Yeah, pretty wild.
Oh my god. So I
Yeah.
mean, is he like reached out, or is it just he just?
No, I just saw it. I just happened to see it a couple days ago.
Right.
Yeah, pretty wild. Like I guess we've driven that point in, but I think that right, like not giving attention to cause I'm gonna just be real, bro. Flat earthers are way cooler, bro. Like if you take flat earth away from flat earthers, they're still just cooler across the board. Like obviously you're gonna have people that aren't cool, but they're more creative, more individual. They have like individuation, right? Like an inclination to individuation. They have higher vocabularies, right? Like that phrase didn't make their brains melt. And I'm not trying to be like I don't know, like I'm not trying to be like self-absorbed or whatever. Like, I'm just saying like it's reality, right? Like they have higher aptitudes and pattern recognition. They're more creative. Like you're going to find much more like musicians and people that can come up with witty lyrics and witty responses and like like comedic inclination and stuff like this. And that's not going anywhere. We should just like embrace that and just show people that like, dude, it's really not that big of a deal, right? And what actually creates this barrier that it's this huge deal is they don't get to see that. They just see this huge barrage of crazy people standing between us and them. You know what I mean? Also, not allowing them to drag you into it. And, dude, I have to work on this to this day, but you start matching their energy, and then what does the other person, the outsider, see? They're like, this is just chaos. I want nothing to do with this like low vibe chaos, right? So anyway, just throwing that out there. Same for info. If you're going to InfoWars people, right? Like that's just not a wise move in my opinion.
Dude, I remember the class being like, you can't actually hate something you haven't loved.
Do you
So
think a
that
lot of that might be as a function of higher intelligence? Because generally speaking, I think higher intelligence people are slightly more discerning, and so they would have a proclivity for not necessarily believing everything that they're told at face value, and then that would then lead to that individuation because they wouldn't necessarily want to follow something just because it's popular. And obviously we're talking about generalities across millions of people rather than individuals and whatnot. But you're kind of midwits, you're middle of the roads, kind of intelligent enough to have a bog standard life, but not really intelligent enough to understand the upper echelons of these kind of intellectual debates. They're not going to want to do that because it doesn't benefit them. And so then there would be like I would call it like tall poppy syndrome. They're kind of almost trying to pull you back down to their level and say, what are you doing? Did that make sense at that point?
Yeah. I think you don't hear Shane. It's so funny because you always jump in right as he's kind of ending it, maybe. But do you hear Shane?
I was asking him on.
I can't hear Shane at all.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't
dude.
think
If you'll just drop and then come back, he'll pop you back up as speaker. But you can't. It just happens. It's one of the things that happens here.
That's one of the things about Twitter.
I'll leave and come
back.
Good thing it happened to work out anyway. I was like, he wouldn't.
Like 3 times in a row it worked out, but I could tell that he can't hear you. He would never just like talk right through you,
No, I know. That's why I immediately hit him on Discord. I was like, can you hear me, bro? And you already took care of it.
But it's funny, he said midwits. I'm like, let's wait till he gets back. But I'm like, that's a pretty interesting. I forgot that that's a term, midwit. So they're midwits, we're miswits.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
It's a term that's not super censored, by the way, because I made it up, right?
What's a midwit?
Like middle, average, mean wit.
Oh, like median wit, right? Cool.
Yeah. Like average wit, but like miswits are those that don't fit in society. They're misfits because they are of the higher end of wittiness.
Somehow I got that part of the inference without the basis, so that's weird. I didn't know what midwit was. I figured out what misfit was though.
Well, you know what? Because you know what a misfit is, obviously. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Ronnie back up. Ronnie Swolman.
They respect that man's pronouns.
Are they in his profile?
Dude, I'll rock with you on the pre-dunk, but never on the PZO. Okay, just so you know.
I just realized that
With
I
the
say that because you say it,
Ptolemy.
Alan. Damn it.
Yeah, I'll try to normalize pre-dunk, but that's about as far as I can go.
Appreciate
It's already normalized. You might not realize it, but it's a basketball term.
You almost butchered ESPN, bro.
Piezo, bro. Piezo.
Oh, Dennis Rodman, you're thinking of.
This is where Alan lets you know you don't know your own name.
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
Hey, welcome, PZO.
Dude, someone corrected me on it, and I was like, "What do you mean?" That's Alan. I just been saying what Alan says, but
It's piezo in Greek means to compress or to press, right? So piezoelectric. But yeah, bro, what's up? What's up? Thanks for having me.
Can you hear Shane? Shane, say something.
Piezo. Piezo.
Piezo, could you hear him?
I cannot hear Shane. He's muted for me. Do I need to drop
Damn.
out?
That
Yeah, is my boy back in here? Is Crypto back in here?
One sec. Let me rejoin.
He's
Crypto,
listening.
can you hear him now? Oh.
He's a listener, not a speaker. But let's note. Can you hear me while you're a listener? Does it change when you come up here?
How's he gonna let you know?
Well, when he comes up here, I assume.
You just invite him up? Didn't you do that to me?
Yeah, we are. Some being on the other side
bro,
of
this is what's gonna happen when I try to start spaces too, bro. Like it's just gonna, they're not gonna let it. I mean,
Dude, there are
am I
fighters where I can't
paranoid?
even speak like at all. So
Yeah, like are you on a computer? Like are you hosting this on a phone?
So I'm hosting it on a phone through my computer, and we're streaming. So I got the phone on the computer, and everything's cool.
To clarify, if I was to launch a space, like I could stream it to X at the same time.
As far as I can tell, you need to start it on your phone no matter what.
Yeah, that's fine. I have two phones.
Yep. And I mean, you don't need to stream it on your phone. You can stream it through the app. That totally works. I just seem to do both because for a while there, one of them would always drop out, and I would just offset it with the other one for the stream. But maybe
You're streaming the space through OBS though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's only possible because Shane has a Cat 5 port in his left ear, so that's where the other cord goes.
Oh, he's a cyborg.
New moon would be the phase of the moon where it's closest to the sun in proximity, governed by the synodic month of the periodicity, and also would be it only can be in the new moon when it is a full solar eclipse. That would be the relationship.
And it has to involve one of the two knots or nodes, Rahu or Ketu, where the two ecliptic planes that the sun and the moon are both independently moving on cross each other over our heads. So that perspective has to also be there at the time of the new moon for the solar eclipse to occur. And that's the difference between any other time of the year. Exactly. RAHUKETU. There you go. You got them up. Excellent.
Yeah, there's a nice long article on here. I like articles
I
on
just wanted to mention to Shane, sorry if I'm talking over you. As
God
a
damn it.
speaker, I can't hear you, but as a listener, I can.
I figured.
I don't know what's going on there.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's wild.
hard.
It's all good. Like, I mean, if you couldn't hear anyone, that'd be the best guy.
Honestly.
Yeah. What do you guys think about? Enoch basically says that there is a relationship between the sun and the moon when it comes to the illumination of the moon.
Dude, let's talk about this. Let's knock this out because I've been struggling.
Well, it's saying that basically it charges up for the first 14 days and then discharges for the second.
So I don't think I buy the charging discharging relationship. That would imply a similar, like with your like electricity, polar negative versus charging discharging. That's two states of the same thing. That's not what's seen in the moon. You're seeing opposing forces. One is, dielectric, one is magnetic. So what you see is like this magnetic polarization where one destructively interferes with the other, which means like when the moon is near the sun, it's unable physically to emit its light. That's how I think it works.
To clarify, it doesn't actually use the word charge, obviously, right? Let me actually find it and read it.
I don't think it does, but that's like the most common conception of how we would describe it to each other. Like, one's a cathode, one's an electrode. And I don't think that's quite right anymore. So I'm trying to specify.
I think whatever Enoch's saying might be right, bro. That's what I'm saying. So let's figure out what it says.
Yeah. So I had to go to Enoch to get my understanding of it in the first place because like all of the site's words, repositories, libraries, and astrology failed me to feel like, what's happening though? Like, what is really happening? So Enoch was where I had to go.
I mean, it predicted the heliocentric deception, so.
Yeah, the great illusion in the sky, and also it also talks about the periodicity and the eclipse like cycle more than with like higher specificity than any text I've ever seen that isn't specifically like from Fred Espenak.
Oh, this is just serving them up. Oh man, stupid flirts. Oh, they're just religious.
Well, I mean, like they pray to Fred, we pray to Enoch or whatever. It's cool, fair enough.
We don't pray to Enoch, but yeah. All right. I'll find it in a sec.
I wanted to entertain the notion for a second that the moon's image is holographically produced. And that's the reason, that's a reason why that we're not seeing the same spectrographic signature as the sun allegedly reflecting off the moon. I think that there is a relationship between the angular position of the two, which we obviously see, but I think it is also the sun's angular position to the thing that is determining where the terminator line lies on the moon. The part of the moon that is being holographically lit up is being influenced by the position of the sun as well. It just struck me as like that it would follow physically if we were to assume one. If we assume A, then possibly B. I don't know. Does that seem lucid?
Piazza would agree. I think he specifically describes it with the angular separation in mind. I think, and he's like when it's at 180 or the furthest point, or I think perigee, and then or when it's at 0, he said, or the closest point, which would be apogee, right? I think he was thinking about it like that because at first he was like, when it's 180, I'm like, what are you talking about? 180. Oh, when it's okay, no, I understand. So that's the angular separation, right?
Yeah, it could very well be part of the mechanism, the control of how we see and how much of the moon we see. I think that is also coming into play, frankly, to the most degree during the solar eclipse because they are juxtaposed. And it's also likely the point at which the sun is closest to the thing that is influencing what is lighting the moon, and could be completely counteracting it at that point, such that we don't see it at all because the projection is not being made, which is why we never see the moon right in front of the sun. Is because the thing that's controlling how much of it is lit, how much of it we see, is being affected by the proximity of the sun. Kind of like an inverse relationship to how daylight is produced as opposed to sunlight. Daylight by ionizing high elevation ionizable gases, all the noble gases that are up there, xenon, argon, could be very well an opposite of that type of effect. Could be mechanistically at play.
I think that's part of it. There's so like in the heliocentric model that makes way more sense because of the angle that it's on. And even when I found the animation that was for the heliocentric model, like it was just a fixed position on the moon as it rotated around a fixed Earth that would show like when it got closer to the sun, it would go dark. But in that model, it always looks like it's the shadow, and like the angle of the sun is literally why you can't see it. And they're really selling that like the sun is why the moon is shining in that description. But in the geocentric equivalent, like it's harder for me to equate the angle and the sun's light as like just like occulting or overshining the moon as being part of the visual stuff. And then you have the actual period where it's not visible after a new moon. I think Lion corrected me on this the other day. We say it's like 3 days that you can't see it, but really if you look hard and you have like optics, it's like 12 hours only, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hey, I wanted to say something about the eclipse because you guys know I was in the path of totality, and I felt a massive change. Like when the last little sliver of sunlight was blasting down and it got occulted or fully eclipsed, when it went into the full eclipse, immediately I could feel not only cooler, ambient temperature, the birds stopped tweeting, everything like got, kind of crazy feeling. But on an electromagnetic, like something else occurred when it was completely covered. And then I started thinking, in the heliocentric model, you have a 93 million mile away sun and a moon that supposedly, gets in its way. But why would that stop the light from coming all the way around it? And what I'm getting at is, if the luminaries, the sun and the moon, are presenting on our grid of vision, and they do cross, they would just be like on each other in more of an electromagnetic way, or like Witz has talked about, like polarization happens. So just the idea of two bodies being really, really far apart and having that event happen the way it doesn't make any sense to me at all logically. But it was fun to be there and fun to see it in person.
So what did it feel like, dude? I've never actually seen one in person, but now with this understanding, like what I think is happening is that like dielectric sun is being passed through by whatever the moon is, right? The magnetic moon. So like when I'm going to call it touch, right? That would be the effect. And that's also what we see with the Elias effects, strangely, and also what we see with that ridiculous fractal shadow that perpetuates during only that event on all the light for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, it's a weird thing to try to describe because there's so many different levels that you have to hit, like the emotional, anticipatory. It's coming. It's going to happen, and there is a massive build as it becomes completely occulted, and then there is a temperature drop because it was like a hot, bright, sunny day, and everything was just like felt great, and then it became cooler and cooler to like nighttime and dusk, and then when it immediately went into the full eclipse, it dropped in temperature. You could just feel the second that the sunlight stopped coming down or whatever was happening. It was a massive feeling. But then okay, I was describing to you temperature and the feeling in the air, and that's one thing, but I almost want to say that whatever was stopped electromagnetically or energetically, I can't explain it. Whatever was stopped when it was fully eclipsed was more than the temperature change. It almost takes your breath away, like your body reacts to it being fully eclipsed, and you just have to be there to experience it. And I thought a lot about early man, like we knew where to go to be in the right spot, but could you imagine just like early man just doing his job, hanging out, and then here comes the sun like getting totally eclipsed? It's a pretty amazing thing that I actually think mainstream science, the whole thing with heliocentrism is it's belittling the amazing nature of our realm, all that's happening. Like you've been diving into the tides and it being like a filtration system, and we've been staring up at the luminaries and how does the sky move and how do we perceive the luminaries, but imagine how much is going on with like the water underneath the water. But I'm kind of getting off track. The eclipse was epic, and if you can ever fly to or be at a total, it's worth it.
Nice.
Yeah, dude, I feel like when we see the conjunction of like the position of the sun and the moon, right? You always notice, as Shane said a second ago, that the full moon occurs at its maximum when it's like 180 degrees offset from the sun. And so if you think of it in those terms, it's brightest when it's furthest away. And as it gets closer, right, the back part of it occults. And then it gets most occulted when it's closest. And the true maximum is during a solar eclipse. And actually, like during a solar eclipse, it's like fully blacked out, like you legitimately can't even see it. And the part that's like not overlaid over the disk of the sun, like the part of the disk of the moon that's not overlaid, that's outside of the disk of the sun, gets like it gets like you can't even see it when you run through the spectra on your camera. when you go through the full spectrum and look at different things, you can't even see that part. And they say it's just washed out and stuff. It just that doesn't even make sense though. It's extremely interesting to me that if we think in terms of what he was saying, like dielectric and magnetic, that it could be a field effect, right? It's almost as if like the sun, like the moon is most charged when it's furthest away from the sun, and it like the charge inverts or flips polarity or something when it gets closer, so that when it's directly over it, you know, it's all blacked out, and when it's directly far away, it's all whited out. And then when they're together, of course, the dielectric plus magnetic equals electricity, and that's why you get the electric phenomena for the Elias effect.
Yeah, so dude, that's another point. The field. When I was doing the tides, I had to reimagine and reevaluate what the
It's
magnetic
the way
field
that
of
I
the
think
moon would
of it
look
in
like.
terms of a flat disk
Damn.
with bodies in the air rather than a globe and a rock reflecting light, right?
Can't talk to the
So
dude.
you
I need
can't
to hear me.
Shane right now.
No, we
Definitely
can't.
hear you. Yeah. Piezo, you're not hearing Shane, it sounds like.
My
don't
goodness, why is Twitter broken? I'm so sorry.
Oh, why is Twitter
Yeah, dude.
broken? The questions.
Yeah, I can't hear
Funny,
it at all. I'm gonna
the very first Twitter space we did, we had the very opposite problem. I could not hear anybody from the account that I hosted from. This time, the account that's hosting, no one can hear.
Well, I know that if I leave, it breaks for everyone. I learned that twice.
What did he?
today,
What
so.
did he ask me something before I reload so I can like get to it before I go through that process again?
So does that fix it though? Do we know? Did crypto still can't hear me, right?
Yeah, I don't think he can.
No, he didn't ask anything new, Pizzo. But yeah, Shane, I think it's when they're just listener they can hear you, but as soon as they get a mic, they can no longer hear you. It's the
Yeah, that
weirdness
was
like
was my inclination actually. That's what I think.
Hey, I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to drop down for a few minutes, and then we'll see y'all later. Earlier, when I hopped into space, I couldn't hear until I got a mic, and then I could hear. But when I drop down, if there's anything weird, I'll just hit you on Telegram, Shane.
Thank you, man.
All right, y'all have a good night.
See you later, Mayor.
Peace.
Did we make Witsit the informal leader just like we made? All right, cool. So we should address him with the formal title or whatever.
Your lordship.
Dude, the anti-flatties will go nuts with.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
As the
I just asked for an avatar, man. Chill
We're
out.
gonna third person you as his lordship Widsit. Let's see what they say.
I'm a pass. I don't know. It's gotta be something cool.
President's super gay, so we can't have that, right?
And Zog is already taken.
You're trying to just serve them up with a pre-dunk. Can we at
Extra
least do
point.
this democratically? Can we host a vote? And I will. I'm gonna vote for Oakley.
Oh, for sure. Extra points for something that strikes fear.
Can I get a super buff George Orwell, please? Let's shoot George Orwell up with steroids, and that can be mine.
Dude, I'll
Hold
make
on,
it
I
for
got
you
you
right
one
now.
second. Yeah, we're all gonna do that. That's my life now. Hold on.
Yeah, it's called Mid Journey, son.
That's hilarious.
Yo, Shane.
Can you hear me, Piezo? No, he cannot.
Nah, you can't hear or Shane, can you?
I hate Twitter, bro. I hate Twitter.
Believe it, he
So.
doesn't even have a mic and he can't hear you, Shane. That's ridiculous.
Well, no,
I'll just
I'm a speaker now. I could hear him before I came on stage.
See, that's another bug with Twitter. I can't tell who newly got a mic. You still look like a listener to me on my chart. This is hilarious.
Yeah, as soon as I come up
that.
on stage, I can't hear Shane anymore. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I went from Brave to Firefox and that worked.
The actual app,
being Brave right now.
the Windows app kind of works too. Honestly, it was a different combination for everyone of what worked, so you just got to keep changing it up until it settles. It is pretty terrible.
They have to create like Discord style chats, right? Like when you have a spaceship, a chat that doesn't like it doesn't post to your profile, like your timeline. You know what I'm saying?
True. Orwellian.
Alan, the new PFP is fire, bro. Yeah, it's dope.
It's fierce, dude. I'm a little intimidated by the bandana on the bear, to be honest. Dude, we got to keep shouting out Stone. I forget. Boston just did it, so let's retweet that. Need some love on his BitChute because we steal all his content. And I used to steal his content before I even knew him. You know what I mean?
Take it, bro. Take it.
So good that, like, yeah.
Cut them little holes with it.
Hey, do you guys mind if I cut in real quick? I can hear you, Shane, by the way. I've had the mic for a while. So I would love to say the tidal wave stuff Shane you did earlier this week was great. Alan, good job wiping the floor with McToon. And I couldn't decide if it was Magistrate Witsit or just Your Highness. However,
I love this guy already.
Yeah. I was looking. There's also SAR and just all kinds of other names we could go with. But
yeah, I do like the sound of the magistrate. You have to leave it, third personed out like that. That sounds great.
Yeah, the magistrate, honorable witsit, or something like that. But actually, Stone. Last time I was on Flat Earth Fridays. I believe it, or no, it was just an open discussion like this, and you challenged me to really think about what I could do, and I've been really meditating on the ether, and I came to this conclusion that, and I might be far off here, but if the ether is something that is the substrate of all things, would that be in alignment with the Holy Spirit? And I'm not Christian in that sense, but I hold to that idea that God is omnipotent or omnipresent. And I don't know, I think that there's something to that, when we're doing these science experiments and things, to keep in mind that this is also a spiritual journey in this as well. And as in regards to Harrison's comment about flat earth being like transgender, I would say it's kind of the opposite, because we try to stick with the science, whereas rather than deny it. And that's where Caleb's great heliosexual would come in, if you could come back with him some sort of joke. But I didn't see the post myself, so. But I wanted to say I really appreciate all your guys' work, and I can hear you fine the whole time. I'm going to duck out because I got to get my boy to bed, but I appreciate what you guys are doing. And the more of these spaces that are open, I think the better. I know it's really cool to be able to participate. I just do little things on Instagram here with my 200-300 followers in the middle of Utah, but they all think I'm fucking crazy. It's okay. Oh, pardon the low vibe language.
The weak word.
Yeah, weak word. That's what it was. Sorry, Your Magistrate. I do apologize.
This is gonna be great. Yo, I'm so glad to hear from you, man. Thank you for taking the mic.
Yeah.
I wanted to respond to your deep thought, the one about ether. It's ringing. It's ringing. I'm not sure how hard you're hitting the nail right on the head with it. I mean, on the one side, we cannot deny that this was created. I mean, that's an ergo kind of piece of logic nobody can really touch. But I'm not so sure that the etheric relationship between space and counter space is such that I don't think God is on the other side of the curtain playing whack-a-mole with the EM energy we're sending. You know what I mean? I don't think he's sitting right there looking for things that are going to poke through and he's going to poke back. So that it's more like, and I don't mention it often, but it reminds me of the phrase in scripture that his handiwork is evident everywhere. And this is evidence of his handiwork, that the mechanism created here is obviously functioning, but I don't know that there is a conscious action behind the specific function. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. My thought about it, and while I was kind of meditating on it, the thought came to mind of how he breathes his spirit into Adam, and that's what gives Adam his life. And that's where I was kind of thinking about that idea of it being the Holy Spirit. And I think the one thing about the heliocentric model is that I think Eric Dubay put it really the best when he says it's taken everything, it's taken the spiritual out of it, and so it's turned the Madonna, who's the mother of the Son of God, and turned her into the material world living, or the material girl living in the material world. And so my thoughts about it were that one thing that what the flat earth really brings is that there is a very spiritual, element to it, and it's got very spiritual implications behind it. And I would think that that's important to not leave that out. And that's one of the biggest problems with the heliocentric model, is that it leaves that out. And, obviously we talk a lot about it being, created. And I don't think, I don't know what to think about God. I try not to put any beliefs on that. God will reveal itself if it wants to me.
Well, you seem to be painting a rather grayish line between spiritual and religious. When you start to put character names on things, that's where you lose somebody like me. Even after I've said the obvious point that this is created, it de facto, it is created, it is physically in existence, and therefore, you know what I mean? But when we talk about someone like the Madonna, I mean, my my sardonic response to things like that are, well, the difference between, well, I guess when you group them together, the Madonna and Madonna, we find out the truth of the situation is that only one of those was actually the gender intended to be portrayed. That one of them is actually a tranny. And again, that muddies the water for me. But yeah, I just wanted to point out the line. And it's better, we might say, to be conscious of where that line is in our analysis.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's pretty gray in my own mind, where that line is, because I am not religious in any way, but my story is very similar to that of like Run Boston Bears, where, I was addicted to a lot of things, and it was part of the flat earth was that, and my experiences firsthand with none other than the divine that brought me out of that, and so, but yeah, I try to stay away from it, but I still like to use the symbolism and the idea. I mean, it paints a pretty picture, I think, and that's why I use that reference with the Madonna. But either way, yeah, I think it's pretty gray in my mind when it comes to that
To
too.
extend that analogy, you may have hung that picture on the wall, covering up something very important written on the wall.
Yeah, I don't know. I've torn the wall down, painted it a couple times, and then I tried to replaster it and screwed that up. So then I started over, and then I just decided it's probably best to sleep outside. No, I'm just joking, but I didn't really have much to say other than thank you for all your guys' hard work, and thank you for the challenge that you gave me last time we spoke.
Hey, thanks for taking the time. That's impressive. That's almost unique.
Yeah, I've been doing a electroculture garden, and it's been a pain in the ass trying to run these copper wires into the air, but it's coming along, and it's just about time to plant, hopefully this weekend. So I'm hoping to see some results from that. I'm excited about it. So I appreciate you guys, all of you.
Yo, and thanks for taking the mic and being, a normal person with excellent supportive comments and words, man. Much love.
Yeah, and I heard you the whole time. I can still hear you, so I don't know what the other
that is inspiring.
I'm on my phone. I'm on my phone on the app, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, he's doing something right.
But yeah, so now that I got all the frame up, I'm gonna take some pictures, and I like I said, I just have a little tiny Instagram, and I'll probably do some stuff there, but I don't use this much because I only got it for Flat Earth Fridays, and now to follow you guys and listen when you guys come on live. So maybe if I get some, I can post them and show you guys how that turns out. So
hell yeah.
All right, it will do for sure. I got a big lot of yards, so I got it yeah, it's a big chunk. So I will do. Thank you guys.
Yeah, much love, my brother.
Yeah.
Yo, I think the transgender thing doesn't really work because it's like as opposed to desperately wanting to identify a certain way, it, you know, seeking attention. Like flat earthers specifically did the opposite. Like didn't want to be a flat earther. The vast majority of them are still in the closet or anonymous, and then you fight it for forever until you just reluctantly have to give in and like poke your head out into the public sphere and get berated. It's not really the same at all. So
Well, I was saying that in regards to denying the science of even just biological science of XX,
yeah, of
XY
course,
chromosomes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work in mental health, and we deal with that sometimes, and it's when it comes down to medical stuff, it's like they make no qualms about it. Like you have to answer certain things. There's certain questionnaires for women, biological women and biological men, and they're asked different ways for each specific, biological gender. So that was my point of that, is you have to ignore science just for ideology, and I think that that's somewhat what has gone on with the heliocentric model. I don't know how you turn that into a joke to get it back at Harrison, but there's a way.
Yeah, by the way, I shared something to the space if you guys didn't see. SpaceX currently has human spaceflight seats available for Earth orbit missions in late 2024. You book a flight to space, get a custom SpaceX suit made for you, and spend 3 to 6 days orbiting Earth. Citizens can also book a flight to the ISS. Dude, we should totally be like, yo, send the flat earther to space. I will literally go up there. Let's see what happens.
What's
that
the
is
price
one
tag?
thing. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just checking the price tag.
I don't know. Just get all the globe earthers and everyone to fund it, right? Because they're like, yeah, this will be hilarious. Show the Flurf how stupid he is and make him go to space and see that the Earth's a ball. Blah blah blah. I'm not gonna lie either way. You know what I'm saying? Like they're like, oh, if the Earth's a ball, would you even admit it? Like, what? Like if you went to space and saw the Earth was a ball, would you even accept it? It's like, what are you talking about? If I saw the Earth was a ball, then the Earth's a ball. Like what?
That's a fine bit of projection there.
Yeah, exactly. If you went up and saw it was flat, would you accept? It's the question, right? When you're telling us that you see it in a plane and stuff like that.
That is one last point that I forgot to make from the beginning. Since you guys have been doing all this great work, and you were on Sam Tripoli and you were on InfoWars, and that's, there's other people, and Alan, what everyone's doing and how big Flat Earth Fridays is getting, I think we're going to see a huge pushback, just like how not Professor Dave, as Dave Weiss would say, put out his 200 proofs we live on a ball. I think we're going to start seeing a huge pushback, and I think hopefully one thing that doesn't happen is further division. I think that's where you're right, is like playing it cool and treating people nice is going to be key, because it's going to be confusing, I think, for those on the fence and those who are just unaware of what's going on. Because I think Stone said it earlier, it's like most people don't care. They don't think it affects them, which is wrong. But, I think we'll start seeing that in the next couple months if we keep growing the way that we are, because it's getting big. Yeah. That's my last piece I'll say. So.
I think that's the biggest part. Like, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, right? I mean, are we on YouTube?
Yep.
All right. The world's run by crazy ethnic supremacists. Our country is subservient to a foreign secular nation state that's basically been pulling the strings like a puppeteer since its inception, which was all, crafted. And then there was a hijacking of an alleged prophecy to support it. And then the Jesuits put the Rothschilds in there to found it and all this crazy stuff. And then we have crazy satanic pedophiles effectively running every major institution, it appears. And all of our presidents is just it's just like a facade. It's all fake. They're trying to push transgenderism and crazy stuff onto our children. All the food has got poisonous chemicals in it. There's poison seemingly being sprayed in the sky with no true concern as to how that affects people. We're having people being literally genetically modified with millions of fragments of DNA. And it goes on, right? And we're having major demographic shift as our country is just being bombarded and completely left open for any type of attack. And it's crazy, right? It's crazy. And in the grand scheme of things, like, what are the solutions? Like, the solutions are like mass awareness, people waking up, pulling their children out of the schooling system and homeschooling them, not bombarding them with poison when they're born, and like kind of raising like a future generation that's kind of informed and awake and healthy, and then becoming self-sustainable and like creating local communities and stuff like that. In that sense, technically, you can do all of that with someone that thinks you're a tiny speck of dust flying through space, right? So, I'm not InfoWars' enemy, but the major and is the point I'm trying to make, right? Like, in the grand scheme of things, it's a majorly important truth that has spiritual and philosophical implications. It has real life implications as to where we live and what's here and what's being hidden from us and many other things, right? But like it's people find the truth in their own time, right? I will say though, I think that where we would go different paths is being able to see through future deception, right? Like the thing with aliens or whatever, you know. Um, so a long way of saying, like, I just don't in any way see how it could possibly be fruitful to have this like real arrogant, I'm the special boy, found the truth, berate you, call you crazy names vibe. Like, it just doesn't even make sense, right? Like flat Earth should be the cool lunch table. And then of course you have these weirdos that are like trying to convince everyone that it's not the cool lunch table, but it just is. And they're not allowed to sit at the table, but you know, other people can. You don't want to be like the lame lunch table that thinks they're cool. So I hope that was coherent enough to follow. I think that it's important, you know, that people kind of step back and are able to discern the way that we should carry ourselves as like a group of people. We're truthers, and we should have respect, and we should be stronger individuals than the average person. So people attacking us and stuff, if you can flip I'll stop ranting after this, but if you can flip the switch in your mind where you basically perceive them as like someone kind of, you know, crying out for help, whether that be like childhood trauma or longing to fit in, or a longing for purpose or meaning, or like notoriety of some sort, some type of acknowledgement, right? Feeling like they're accepted and in a group. And when you start to look at these people's behavior through that lens, it becomes easier to kind of prioritize empathy, maybe even sympathy. And then that may make it a lot easier to handle yourself in like a better way optically for the rest of us.
Yeah, just don't make the mistake of trying to be too empathetic and spending too much time on people that are not acting in good faith. But we kind of already went over that earlier. But just as you say that, I kind of felt relevant to tack that on there.
Oh, that's
Right.
true. Specifically, I mean, like, just don't take it personal. They're crying out for help. But if there's someone suffering from childhood trauma and they, whatever it is, but they like, they beat women or they steal stuff, and you can't invite them to stay in your house. Like, it doesn't mean you have to hang out with them. It just like change your perception of what they're doing. Right. And it's going to make, I think it's going to be like, oh, when they start to attack you, it just literally means nothing. Like, if I were to tell these people what I truly think of them, it may sound rude, but like, I genuinely don't care at all. It's as if they do not exist, and their input is nothing to me. And when they incessantly twist, manipulate, lie, gaslight, it just further validates that like we're on the right path, because it can't be substantively like rebutted, right?
Dude, absolutely correct. And they get so angry, but like I think you set the precedent for killing them with kindness, which was like my default action when I got here and was confronted with like FTFE and McToon. I was like, whoa, I'm just gonna be nice to you because I don't know what else to do, right? Like holy onslaught of negative energy. But I think when you do that, not only does it present the case better, but optically for anyone watching, it paints the exact truth picture, which is, hey, you got like animosity, vitriol, negative, unbecoming like pride issues. You got some self-reflecting on that side, and then you have people who just want to tell the truth and looks like they're having like an honest conversation, and that is like, you know, what creates more flat earthers than I think anything that we do.
Yes, yes, that contrast, and the contrast can look so stark sometimes, and that's when I think it makes it it makes a flat earther much quicker when you have that stark contrast.
Is that what happened to you less than a year ago? Because everyone's new.
Yeah, like a year and a half ago. It's like you hit that point where it's just like, man, I just don't even want to be associated with that argument. Like, just sign me up for flat Earth, man. Like,
Yeah, what was that retarded stuff? Oh, I want the other side. I don't have to
Yeah.
hear it. It's fine. I want that side or whatever.
Like a genuine group of people that like actually feel passionate. I wrote that whole post actually pretty well. Got 125,000 impressions or whatever.
Nice.
And it's just me, like I was like coming from the heart basically. I'm like, the craziest thing about all of this is that we're a group of people that feel that we've discovered we were lied to on a major scale, and in fact the majority of the people propagating the lie fell for the lie as well. Like they're not trying to deceive us or lie to us, but they're incorrect, and that this truth has major philosophical implications, and it's changed people's life for the better. And we hear endless testimonies about, like, I was an atheist, I was a nihilist, I was apathetic, I was kind of a degenerate, I was living in depravity, blah blah. And I came to this truth, and I found out this life is super meaningful and has purpose, and this very place we live has purpose, and we have domain here, and it changes everything. And now I have a wife and children, and I'm starting a garden, and I'm happier than I've ever been. And it changes people's life for the better. And you have to kind of go through societal ostracism with it, but it just makes you stronger. And so we think we're like, our intention is to actually help you as an individual and like the world, like our fellow man. Like that's our actual intention. It doesn't matter what anyone has to say about it. We all know that's the case, right? Why else would we jeopardize societal ostracism, future employment, like just, you know, completely being shadow banned and attacked and berated, and being even with our family, right? Causing a schism with family and friends. And why would we do all that? The reason is we genuinely, you can think we're crazy or whatever. I say that in the post, like, even if you disagree with it, you have to admit that what we think is we found an incredibly huge truth that's very important. We're trying to share it to help the world. The really toxic people that oppose us, their intention is the polar opposite of that, bro. It is sadism. They find enjoyment in humiliating others. And that's super dark, right? So like when people start to see that, I try to tell them all the time, like, you make more flat earthers than we do. What you really do is you make more people look into it sincerely, because they're like, what's going on here? Whatever is making one side be this genuine and the other side be this psychotic is like, there's got to be something going on here. So anyway.
Well, I remember thinking, just having the thought exercise of, like, what if I were to just psychologically put myself on a stationary and flat Earth? Just psychologically, like, what would the implications be? And then and that led to the next thought of, like, what would be wrong with that, right? Because I was still a glober at the time. And so I'm thinking, like, what would be the danger? What would be wrong with that? And once you start thinking about that, and you start thinking about, like, it would almost assuredly be psychologically better for me to have the ground beneath my feet not be moving, and to have, you know, a stationary flat realm that I exist on. Because let's just say they were right and I did live on a globe. If I don't ever perceive the curvature and I don't ever perceive the motion, then to try and conceptualize of things in my day-to-day life that I don't, that they even tell me are illusions anyways, right? Or the fact that, or I can't perceive those things anyways. Like there's no room for, there's no reason to have it in my mental bandwidth in the first place, even within their own paradigm. So then what danger would it do for me to ground myself and put myself in a stationary, you know, a stationary flat realm where it's just easier. Let's just say it's easier for me. Let's say I'm a simple-minded person. This just makes it easier for me. There's no reason for that to be dangerous to anybody. So then you take that and then you start looking at it through that lens, and you start looking at these debates, and you start looking at all these anti-flat earthers and how angry and upset, and it's like, it becomes very evident very quickly that these people are not looking out for my best interest. They're not actually trying to better me in any way, or to lift me up in any way, but they're actually just threatened by the fact that this is good for me, and they're threatened by the fact that I couldn't tell you exactly why they're threatened, but it seems that they are threatened when you start looking at it through that lens, or there's something else going on. The best way to think about it is spiritually, I think. If you conceptualize it all as a big, crazy spiritual war, big spiritual war, then I think that's the easiest way to frame it all.
Absolutely. It is that though, isn't it? Everyone knows that. Like we don't say it, but I came from the group that was already saying that before Flat Earth, right? The big spiritual war that started this whole thing. Like that is what it is at the ground level. It just kind of, I think, turns off the newest people. So like we just don't lead with it, but we should talk about it more, I think, for sure. Ezio, can you hear me yet, bro? Or no? I'm guessing no. I guess we can have this conversation where I can just like talk and then you can like text me or whatever and we'll work it out.
That is
Yeah, we're gonna need
depressing.
to relay what you said to the rest of the room.
Oh, what did Shane say? Dang it!
Helmet was dumbfounded and
Oh my
extravagant.
gosh!
Dude, at least we didn't like fail it and we can have a space and I can hear most people. Like I'll just call it as a win.
Yeah, Orwell. Oh, go ahead.
What a dick.
Orwellian, go ahead and open up your mic whenever you want, man.
I think it's
Man, that's funny. The Chingy CD, bro. No, it's ironic. It's ironic that I pulled up when I did because I was getting ready to check out, right? And so Witsit was kind of bringing up the you know how we carry ourselves, the transgenderism thing, and I kind of got I don't know. I got beat up a little bit for dealing with Brenda the way I deal with Brenda. Brenda lives in my state. A lot of you have interacted with Brenda. And when we get to discussing good faith actors versus bad faith actors, I typically carry myself different with both. And it's pretty easy to discern who is acting in good faith and bad faith. By the way they clap in your comments or by the way that they completely change their tone of voice and turn into a demon when they grab a mic. Right. So, one of the issues that I ended up having with regards to that and why I'm kind of trying to change my tack on this, right? And what Witsit brought up, I think is super important, right? You never know what these people are going through, right? So in good faith and me acting in good faith, I think it's important for me to try to hear somebody out for who they are. But I've dealt with Brenda often and I was like, look, man, you don't even know what you are. And you're trying to debate science with people. Okay, so you think that biology is unimportant, right? That was my point, and I wasn't attacking this person, but I'm like, you don't believe in biology, which is kind of a byproduct of adherence to the scientific method, and you expect me to listen to you with regards to well anything that we're discussing right now. I don't think that I can have this conversation, and I just wasn't willing to do it, and I kind of got yelled at and. So I guess long story short, where I'm trying to go with good faith and bad faith actors, regardless of who they are, where they think they come from, whatever it is, it's kind of easy to determine that based on the way they carry themselves in the comments versus when they get a mic, yada yada yada. But I am trying to, as I've started to get into these spaces and become more acclimated to actually having these conversations in good faith, it's become pretty evident who has no interest at all in what you have to say. They're more concerned with like when they can't repeat back two sentences to you, which happens often. Like, can you can you repeat what I said to you? And they can't. It becomes pretty evident that you're dealing with somebody who is not serious and is kind of just wasting your time. So again, one of the other things that I've been trying to be very diligent with is my time. I think all of our time is extremely important. The amount of time that Shane, Alan, Stone, I know Toby, Witsit, that you guys put into this, man, it's got to be stressful on the level that you're dealing with it. And I know it's stressful on the level that I'm dealing with it when it comes to trying to manage your time, who you spend your time with, debating with, talking to, etc. So I guess what I'm getting at, man, is I've learned so much from just watching the way that you guys move in these spaces that it's helped me, I don't know, develop a more level-headed, yeah, hashtag level-headed, a more level-headed approach to deciding whether or not a conversation is even worth having. So I don't know, man. Like I said, I was getting ready to check out. I'm like, bro, I got to go build the bridge tomorrow. These dudes are on fire. Wits had finally found one of my DMs talking about the Orwell, the Orwell avatar that, hopefully turns out to be super ripped, dude, because he's got to be. We're living there right now. But no, I'm gonna mute up, man. I'm gonna listen for a little bit before I check out. But I just wanted to tell you guys, man, you're an inspiration. You guys have helped me a lot when it comes to just doing what I do. My account is, I think, 10 years old, and I've only been active on it for like 8 months, for real. Like I just shit posted for years. So I'm over here, learning and figuring it out, man. You guys are an inspiration, and I appreciate it.
Hell yeah, dude. I love Aurelian, first of all. That dude is awesome. He runs the best spaces.
God bless, brother.
That's awesome to hear, man.
Yeah, Shane, I feel bad for you, bro.
Yeah, no one can hear me. It's all right.
I can hear you, dude.
That's all that matters, bro. As long as the Magister can hear me.
I'm the only one whose Twitter account's cursed, it seems.
Order in the courts.
Order.
Dude, do you not think it's a good idea if I tweet that out and say like, let's send a flat earther to space. Let's make it happen. Let's start a GoFundMe. They like where the money obviously it sits in escrow until it's reached and they accept it or whatever, right? And like maybe it can go viral and even Elon gets a hold of it and like that sounds like something Elon would do, right? Like,
well, dude, it quickly becomes, why wouldn't you send that super famous flat earther to space to show
unless it's fake, because it is.
Exactly.
And this is one where we can get Globers in on it too.
that's what I'm saying. That sounds like a Glober's wet dream. Like
they should
comes back home and says the Earth's a globe.
They should want it to go viral more than any. Like they'll be all over it without a doubt.
I would think so.
Witzer, just don't say gravity anymore.
I'm gonna keep saying it.
Say it 7 times on purpose.
Right. Yo, you know what I meant to say though? What I meant to say. Sorry, what I meant to say was like, so gravity. It's. I mean, what I said. It comes from gravitas, means heavy. How heavy something is, weight. Like no flat earther disputes that things have weight and things fall down. But what we dispute is gravitation. But I didn't say that. I still explained the point, right? But we don't dispute gravity. We dispute gravitation, and that is a kind of an important distinction, right? But whatever. I'm gonna keep saying it. Like,
well, yeah, you made the proper distinction. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yo, this is what's so funny though. This is why it's so good. It's actually it's literally highlighting that they're kind of retarded. Like they actually don't know the difference, bro. Like one guy replied to me and I'm like, dude, again, little g, that's downward acceleration, 9.8 meters per second squared, agreed upon average rate at which things fall when they fall. And that's all it is. It's an average quantification, right? It's a quantified effect. And no one disputes the effect. The question is about the cause. We dispute the claimed cause of the effect. And then and I said, this is wild to me. I'm finding out that most of these guys literally think they're the same thing. Someone replied and said, they, in capital letters, are the same thing. Little g is caused by gravity. I'm like,
yikes.
Bro, this is what we're dealing with. They literally don't know. They literally don't know the difference, bro. And they also all think that it's constant.
That's why they said it's a win. Oh, I didn't get it. I forgot to lower myself to the level of stupid. My bad, dude. Hold on.
They literally don't understand that that's the effect and we're disputing the cause. It's wild. That's why they actually think that when you drop something, it's like a rebuttal and then to flat earthers or whatever. And then they're going around saying like, no, because flat earthers found out that for little g, then everything would get pulled to the center of the earth and flat earth couldn't exist. It collapsed in on itself. It's like, you just immediately conflated it to the claimed cause again. Like, right? The center of mass. It's like, I mean, don't you think it's actually beneficial to really showcase how that side literally doesn't even have like an elementary grasp of the combo? Because
Absolutely.
that's wild.
You should definitely highlight that because I didn't even realize that's how dumb they were until you just said it. So we got to like probably highlight that. Like, hey, you guys do this. You think this is a win because of your giant misunderstanding. Let's explain.
Almost every one of them too. I started trying it, even like the bigger names in the anti-flat Earth movement, bro. Like it's baffling.
Gravity it is.
Well, not tomorrow.
The next space. Yeah, for sure. Why don't we do like spaces on Monday? Let's do it next Monday. Nice.
All right, I'm gonna peel out, guys. Yeah, we definitely need to say gravity more often. I'm with Alan, man. That was hilarious. They're spinning their wheels on what's it so hard. It's comedy. I appreciate you guys. You guys have an awesome night, man. The mic was awesome, and you go. We'll catch you guys on the next one. I love you guys.
Always
Yeah, much
welcome,
love,
man.
bro.
I think Liliana said she'd like a mic. I seem to be reproving Piezo over and over and over again, though. If somebody else wants to try. Yeah, definitely do that because I can't. We got Stone as co-host. No, it's fine. It's cool. I'm just making sure that you can actually like utilize the thing. But can you see the interface? Okay, cool. The anti-groupies, man, they're so crazy. I love that this is the topic now. We have to decide how to address the community that aggressively tries to misrepresent, misidentify, obscure, obfuscate, and or cloud what we say. That's a general goal. Like,
So I just invited Pizzo. Let's see what happens when I do it.
I think he's up here, or at least I see him up here. I don't know what's going on there. How about Liliana? That's what we need.
Invite me to what?
All right.
He's already here.
What do you think, guys? I should say. I put sign me up. Let's send the first flight to space. Should I be like, unless you can't afford to have?
I
me
don't think we should
go.
send you because they might kill you, bro.
No, it's all good, dude. If I died, do you not think that would backfire on them?
Dude, Flat Earth martyring the martyr of the magistrate, that would go well for us.
All right. I just sent Laylee an official invite with the little app thingy. So that might work.
I guess I'll just say that. I'll just say sign me up. Let's send the first flight to space.
Yeah, I don't know what else you'd put besides that. How
Well,
would you
pointing
juice it
out
up?
that like I don't think they couldn't even actually allow me to do that.
Oh yeah, we should definitely make that clear in case you don't know, you're a flat earther. So like, if you want to shut down the whole movement, bring me to space or whatever, and then it'll die because if they hurt you, it dies immediately. That's how it works.
Yeah.
If we take down Witsit, it'll end or whatever. No, but
Yeah,
just you gotta specify.
what's it misspoke that one time? Flat Earth's dead.
I didn't tell you about the guy that chased us down to tell us how you misspoke one time to claim victory on an empty room which you weren't in. But yeah, maybe some other time.
Yikes. I mean, I probably have like over 1,000 recorded hours, so you got me.
I mean, just thought it was funny. He was like trying to take out the victory and like exchange the credits with us, and I was like, dude, those credits don't transfer. I'm not him. I don't know what you're trying to do here or whatever. First flat earther to space, dude. That would really shut down the movement. Who here hasn't been asked that question? All right, next year when we go to Mars, we put you in a rocket. Like, what are you gonna say then?
Bye.
Right?
It's like that SNL sketch. Bye-bye.
It's like they don't know that we actually are the ones with critical open minds who have already reversed 180
Bro,
on the
Twitter's so
positions we
buggy,
held the
dude.
whole
I
way.
have to have another tab open listening.
So it's all good, man.
Can
You got
you
it.
also not hear Shane?
He cannot.
Yeah, I cannot hear him either. Yeah.
We got to get Alan back up here.
You know what they're gonna say? They're gonna be like, "This is proof that he's a grifter con man because he knows space is real."
Dude, ask him to pay you for it on top of it. What the heck?
It's
Why
going to
not?
come to a lie detector test after that, isn't it?
Dude, I told him like, okay, how about we all throw money? They say that I don't really believe in flat Earth. I'm just conning people. I'm like, okay, so let's just test this out once and for all. Since you all cope so hard, you say that. First I was stupid, then that didn't work, so now I'm lying and no, it's not flat. So it's like, okay, let's all throw money in, even if it goes to charity or whatever, right? And I'll take a lie detector test, recorded live, and we'll ask me the questions, and then we'll see what happens, and then the money goes to the charity of the choice of whichever side. And they started changing their tune real quick. Oh well, it would be even funny if you did really believe in it, because I mean you're so retarded. And I was like, okay, yeah, whatever.
I feel like they would not like to see how many of us like truly believe in it. Like they would not like the results of those lie detector tests.
Yeah, I don't think
Do
they'd
they
actually do
really?
that.
Do you think they really convince themselves that like I don't think the Earth is flat though? Like
That
No, probably not. Some of them do. I mean, I feel like it would force them to reconcile it a bit
it's literally
more.
just a talking point to try to discredit me, but at the same time, I think it's like out loud coping, because like you can't really listen to the conversations that we have and pretend we're stupid. Like when you do that, and then the average person comes and listens, they're like, "Whoa," like it doesn't work. So then the other tactic is like, "Oh, they know it's not flat. They're too smart to know it's not to not know,
right.
right?" Yeah.
Dude, I was like, I don't understand any of the words you use, therefore you're stupid. I love that claim, and then to stand on it and then get like socially like reinforced for that. Like, whoa.
Yeah,
Yeah, to be honest.
like vocally announcing like inept vocabulary skills.
Yep. Like, hey, we socially shame this person so we can read a book, please. Someone help me out. Liliana still got her hand up. Well, we can't manage this, huh? I clicked on everyone, but I don't think it's doing anything.
Have you made anyone a co-host?
Yeah, we got Stone and
Yeah.
Alan. Well, we didn't have
I'm
Alan
trying
back
to bring
up here.
Alan back up right now. I invited him to co-host myself, and that didn't work. So I just sent
Okay.
him Mike to see if that's going to work.
Let's see if I can just have other people
Well,
co-host.
I
and-
am.
to be able to control it while you're up here.
Well,
and
I'm
then
on a
we can get
computer.
Alan,
Stone, are you on a PC?
Yeah, I'm on a tower.
Okay, well, then it would be no different, I'd imagine.
That work?
What just happened?
Did I make you co-host? No.
No.
Yo, I just open space to chill. We all chilling.
Who's that?
That's me.
Oh.
I'm the
Guessing, Frankie.
Frankie.
one holding the instrument. Flat Earth stuff.
Do you know the NASA man, Ken?
Do I know the what?
The NASA man, Ken.
Whoa, that sounds like a nice one. The NASA man can. I think that you're probably getting me confused with Willy Wonka. That's a
No,
common.
it's actually a video that journalism put out a week or two ago now. It's an outstanding little parody.
Oh no, I don't know it. You should share it with me. Would love to hear it.
It's all over YouTube. Yeah, did that work?
So, but what are we all talking about exactly here? You got it, sir.
Oh, hi, yeah.
Contact.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Darn, I should have cleared my throat first. I was just going to say that, forget all this crowdfunding, what we need to do is get a really strong petition going, and then maybe find some really cool flat earth lawyers who would be willing to, fight on our behalf.
Liliana, I'm just gonna say one thing. All
Right.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just going to say that, you know, I think that if we had enough people signing a petition and we had some lawyers, because we have rights. I mean, why should NASA be taking our tax money? If I had the choice, I would say, hey, I want my share of the tax money to go towards research of flat Earth. So, I mean, we are the people, you know, we have a voice. And I feel like if we have the numbers, like even if we're only 10% of the population, well, then give us 10% of freaking NASA's budget. You know, that would be the way to go. And I think that if we had some really good lawyers, I mean, we need like some kind of a team. So we need all of us to maybe just put our feelers out and get some kind of a team, because I feel like there's enough of us. I mean, even think of even 10% of the people. That's a lot. I mean, that's hundreds of thousands of people or millions of people, you know. So I think we should really think about that, because just the principle of it, you know, and I know, whatever. But also the other thing I wanted to say was that the reason, you know, you guys were talking earlier about how Flat Earth has really helped so many of you. And I'll tell you what, for me, when I got into Flat Earth, it finally opened up my eyes to why the climate changes slowly all over the land, you know, all over the all over the world. And I put together a list of things that I always wondered about, like why do ice ages come and go? Why are those magnetite particles, you know, showing that the North Pole was in different places in the past, you know, several tens of thousands of years? And then the other thing, you know, is things like why have they found all kinds of tropical plants, let's say in the Arctic region, and so on and so forth. So I collected, I don't know, like about 20, 25 different such really basic, you know, generally accepted scientific, you know, they're verifiable, right? Like looking at magnetite particles or whatnot. Like I don't completely reject science in that way. I'm like you guys. We have to use science to prove flat Earth, and that's really easy because you know the science will always support the truth. So, anyways, long story short, and it all fell into place with me with the flat Earth. All these different. I call it kind of like my little unified theory. And if you guys want someday, I'd love to make a little presentation of this list of these things and how they all fall into my little theory of. And it's not actually unique to me. I think that you'll see that it's already been talked about in ancient times. And one of the clues is that clock in Prague. This is kind of based, you know, or not based, but aligned with that concept. Anyways, and it fits into with a lot of what the ancients also said, you know. Anyway, so it's kind of like a mixture of things that the ancients said, maps that we've seen. Like, for instance, why was the Sahara definitely like this big river plain with, you know, huge cities and towns just dotted all over what is now the Sahara Desert? So, anyways, it's a collection of things. And then it also kind of like gives us, suggests certain clues for how comets work in a flat Earth, and how these chunks of metal that are infused with various crystalline minerals, like how does what we call meteorites or whatever, like how does that fit into flat Earth? So, anyways, I have this little one unified theory. I mean, it's just very skeletal, it's very, very it's not fleshed out, but I thought that I would run it by you guys one day. Thank you.
Fabulous. I wanted to back you up to your first point. And I confess, when you first broke the subject, my knee-jerk response was, yeah, okay, that's nice. and probably why you got interrupted. But as you started to explain it, and the rationale for 10% at least of the interest, my underlying thought is more to the lines of, well, what about the vote last week on InfoWars? We used to have 56%. I wouldn't want to even give up that assumption about the general populace to some degree, that it's probably more than 10%. And I would mention that I have I don't know, a decent litigative background from a couple of different angles, including plaintiff. And as you completed your explanation of what you thought about the first subject, it occurred to me that I think what you are after is a class action lawyer, somebody who can go to the federal court and be granted the right to launch a class action where citizens of the United States can sign up and say, yes, these are my tax dollars and I think this affects me and I want to know about that instead. And once you get enough signatures, then I think you can claim. So that's what I wanted to say about that.
Sorry, what did Alan say? I missed that.
And your list. Cool.
Yo, Shane, why do I have like 7 million notifications? Did you tag me in something, bro? Oh, yeah, you did. Never mind. Post. You're getting what?
Oh my God. It's catching.
Dude, I can also not hear Shane. I can hear everybody else.
Oh, that's
I'm in the Discord. I just have myself muted in Discord so I can hear Shane talk in Discord because I can't hear him in here.
Work around. You'd have to unmute though. Yeah, there we go. Right, so you can hear me talk at least. So you thought that was a really long silence, huh, Alan? No, I felt that. I was like, oh, he thought that was all silent. I know. I spoke immediately to assuage that.
Dude, do we have any Globers in here? Like, are there any of them in here?
Incite violence, or? I mean, like, did they show up here at all? No, none of them did. Yeah, well, I wanted to go over, like, if anyone has the grounds for a presentation or some things you want to show us, right? Like, definitely let us know. We're all about letting people present stuff. And then I wanted to say, if you're shy or embarrassed, just watch Alan's first presentation, and then that should make you feel better or whatever. Everyone starts that way. Exactly, yes.
So the guy who wanted to talk so badly left.
Change.org. I'm going to start a Send Wits to Space petition.
Nice.
Nice.
Yo, so what was up with that space we went into yesterday where they tweeted like, let's get some flat earthers in here and see what they have to say. And then like 5 or 6 of us went in there and they're like, well, we don't want this to turn into a flat earth debate. So can we get we just want some good vibes. Anybody want to ask some questions about stars?
We're
And you
gonna
had
tag
Red's
your post or
rhetoric in there,
whatever.
like claiming that you could see the curvature from a plane. Like flat earthers are going to sit in a room quietly listening to someone claim that he proved the Earth was a globe with a picture on a plane.
Okay,
Is
can we
it
post it?
Sacred put a picture of like of a straight edge, like an art straight edge, and then he's like, "Look, I compressed it, and it looks like there's a little curve around the edges of this one too." He's like, "They're like, well, obviously that means that straight edge isn't straight." And it's
No
like,
way.
yeah, that's what they said.
What? I missed it. Yeah, because like, dude, that's what Jaron had to talk to McClown about that for like an hour, right? And then he finally admitted, like, okay, yeah, like because no lens is gonna have zero distortion. If you compress it, you're gonna always have a curve.
Right.
But it's still up there, right? He's the largest
No, but yeah, but
evidence.
now he acts like he never did it. That's how you know flat Earth is so stupid.
Yeah, he still has it on his webpage too, doesn't he?
Yep, absolutely.
And I remember seeing that. I saw that in the Discord chat. I had joined the Discord chat and someone dropped a link to that, and I was still on the fence. I remember seeing that, and I had just recently been studying lenses a lot because I was investing in some nice glass for my camera, and I saw that, and I'm pretty sure that's what triggered me to join the voice chat and like
Nice.
start talking about this discussion more, because I was like, all right, I don't care what side of the argument you're on. This is a stupid argument. Like, this is all based on a fundamental misunderstanding of optics and digital image compression. And like, I was so angry at like the fact that someone would use that as a proof of truth.
No, the best is when they ask Witzer a question, and then Witzer wants to explain it to every single detail, and they just, you talk too much. You talk like, it's not a quick example. You gotta, if you want to answer somebody, you want to give them every single detail. And they just,
Especially when they're asking like these technical questions, you know.
Exactly. It's not a fucking one sentence answer. You gotta give them everything they want. Then they're like, I was gonna say to you, like, you gotta dumb down your questions in like to a point like they might understand. Like
On one
oxygen.
Sorry, go ahead.
Like oxygen in one, like in the space for the fireball to be lit, or like what's the fastest jet go? Mach 5. You got, what is it, something like that? Like, do you know how hard it would be to fly around the globe? Like, you would always have to be flying downwards if you're going that fast. If not, you'll be flying right in the glow, the dome, that type of shit.
Bro, they don't even know that like things falling down is just an effect, bro. Like there's no way to simplify it enough for them. They're suffering from like cognitus, I guess. Yeah. Because what do I say? Hey, Shane, you remember what I said the first time you brought this up to me? Because you were like genuinely perplexed as to how low of a level they operate at.
Yep. It's not that they're stupid. Is that
The
their
devotion,
position?
yeah, the devotion to this position renders them stupid.
Yeah, I think that's a nice way to say it. But now I think they're stupid, by the way. I disagree. So
Well, can we agree though that there are some of them that, like, despite their obvious inability to overcome logic that contradicts their worldview because of their cog dis, outside of the cog dis, they're actually like cunning and bad, operating in bad faith to like try and deceive people intelligently, because that happens a lot too.
Yeah, I think that's worse than just being that dumb.
Those are the anti-flat earthers, right? They're not actually coming to the conversation from a genuine standpoint.
who is that? I can't hear that. Who's speaking? Who is that?
With the
It sounded a bit like
My bad. I was saying they're not actually coming to the conversation from a genuine standpoint. Those are people more aligned with like an anti-flat Earth standpoint, where their entire premise is to discredit anything in opposition to the globe. Those people you just have to disengage from. They're not being genuine.
Right. Right. I agree for sure. Those people, dude, like someone said it earlier, the best way to control your like life and your happiness is to gauge how you effectively spend your time. And if you do, like, if you expend as little energy on those things and negative things as possible, you end up going to bed with a full bar, so to speak, and you end up having a way more like effective and happier experience. That's what I've learned anyway.
Right, but it's like some people will knowingly use things that aren't proof of anything, but because you have to peel back the layers in order to get to the truth of the matter, people who are like not necessarily as intellectually invested in these things may be more easily swayed by those things, such as the horizontal image compression piece. Like a person who doesn't spend a lot of time, at first glance, they're like, oh, yeah, well, you took a really big image and scaled it down to a shorter image and made it easier to see the curve that's there. And it's like, no, the fact that there is, distortion just from the fact that a lens-based image has been compressed is not proving a curve. And then you show them, okay, let me take a 6-inch section of a straight edge, which obviously is straight across these 6 inches, and then compress that image and you see apparent curve. And they come back and are like, oh no, that just means the straight edge isn't straight. That's the type of stuff I'm talking about, bro. And you'll have to go down a rabbit hole for like an hour just to clear the air. And by the time that happens, they've wasted all your energy and all the time you could have been like furthering the conversation with truth about something else.
And to touch back on one of the, just like from a minute ago, it's like with the idea of time and having to rush and talk fast, it's such like a not fair debate because we're up against institutionalized information. And so we have like in a debate, like I say, a formal debate, we have equal time to make our points. And they're making points that everyone was literally institutionalized on, right? Like everything is based around this. All our education system led them up to understanding that side of the argument. Whereas on our side, we have to like literally use words that they can't use. We have to explain them to them. Like we have to explain a whole philosophical paradigm to them to even get them to understand the way that light should actually be working. And like we have to undo like a bunch of stuff with like, and then they say that we're talking too fast and that we're using too complicated of words. So we have to talk slow, but we don't get enough time. And then it's like, it's just funny how incongruent it is. But that's why, the debate approach is maybe even not the best, although that's what everyone wants to hear. But yeah, it's just crazy.
I also like just the idea that getting this exposure, like Witsit's got some really good exposure recently, right? Will enable, more exposure in the future and change the type of like setup during these exposure sessions. So instead of being a debate, maybe next it's like an interview, maybe next it's a round table, maybe next it's a podcast, right? Instead of like having to go back and forth and like be squeezed for time, like you just said, maybe now I can sit down and lay these things out clearly and fully flesh out and explain my position. That's what I'm looking forward to because I think this can be very beneficial.
I got a question. If say for some reason they send the magistrate up into what they call the edge of space. I mean, isn't the sun only lighting up a portion of the earth anyways, which I would imagine would be circular visually? I mean, it's not, I guess you'd still be able to see it as round, but you're not going to be able to see the entire thing, right? I mean, wouldn't half the earth still be in darkness? So how would you be able to even claim that you see the entire earth if half of it's in darkness? If we're talking, you guys were talking about horizontal visuals, but what about like top down view? If you're up there, I've thought a lot about that, and wouldn't it still appear round because that's all that's lit up, like a spotlight kind of thing?
Well, the surface convexity would definitely be different, right? regardless of what was illuminated.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is like if the sun is local, like it's only lighting up half of the Earth as it goes. I mean, unless you get up and you are in some sort of underneath a firmament and maybe it's wrapping around, but then that would have to be the sun would have to be in the southern hemisphere for it to do the whole coffee cup caustic thing. I mean, I guess you might be able to see more of it that way, but I don't know. I've imagined that a lot and what that would look like. So it might still appear round, but you're not going to see the whole thing. It wouldn't appear to be a globe. It would just be like, I guess just a flat round surface.
I don't even think that human beings can get high enough to see that far, like not even close. I mean, the highest that I think that we can confirm that a craft can take a person is much less than 50 miles.
Have you seen that space perspective thing that they're building? They're building like this blimp that goes way up, and look it up if you guys want to know what I'm talking about. Just type in space perspective in the search thing. You'll know what I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, even when we see stuff like that Amazon, what was that Amazon Blue Horizons thing or whatever it was that went up however high they claimed it went, like we actually can't verify heights above what is it? I think 50 clicks. I think at around 50 kilometers is when the GPS network doesn't allow people to connect to it anymore. There's like lockouts that are placed upon it, and even a little bit higher than that, onboard sensors don't work to detect acceleration. Accelerometers break at like 250,000 feet. So even these claims that they make of, oh, look at this video of this Amazon craft out the side of the craft. Look, they get the little graphic display in the bottom right telling you how high they are. Bro, that's not telling me how high it is. That's telling me how high they want me to think it is. How am I going to confirm that? So that my point is I don't think you can get high enough to see enough of Earth to even be able to determine one way or the other.
And what are you basing that on, PZ? A bunch of nonsense or all that math that you did to figure that out specifically? Just saying, maybe you want to go over that.
Oh, are you talking about analyzing rocket launch footage and data?
Exactly that, yes, sir.
Well, I mean, I only did 2 individual flights. I mean, I guess we could get some more samples and get a bigger sample size, but I did the Go Fast Rocket 2014 and the gosh, I can't even think off the top of my head which university it was. There was a university that did a launch in like 2019, claimed to hit 338,000 feet plus or minus 16,500. Analysis of those two and comparing those with the data, comparing the footage first of all of the Go Fast rocket with the data set of the 05 launch, because they did an 05 launch and a 2014. The 05 launch was pretty much identical, except it was about 100 miles an hour slower and 1 mile lower. Other than that, though, was claimed to be identical. And if you do the kinematic equation on a simple vertical vector for, carrying momentum and then watching, how the force of gravity would cause the curve to top out and come back down, you realize that the flight time to peak should be about 160 seconds, give or take. So like 2.5 minutes, right? Well, if you look at the actual footage though, that from the ground until the peak is like 60 seconds, bro. It's like 58 seconds. And it peaks out at a minute and then it falls back down. So there's like a 1.5 minute plus discrepancy there. And at that altitude, when you do the kinematic equation and do the curve, it couldn't have gone higher than 50 miles. In fact, if you plug in their max velocity, which was like just shy of 3,600 miles an hour, which is 60 miles a minute, if you just maintain a constant velocity the whole time of 60 miles a minute for a minute, what do you hit? Well, you hit 60 miles. So the fact that they claim to have gone
72 miles high in a minute, while never having went faster than 60 miles a minute in that entire time, is already like a math violation on its face. That's why I decided to analyze it in the first place. And we find that 50 miles? What's like 250, like 260,000 feet, right? So just above 250,000 feet is where it probably went. You look at the university rocket flight. Well, the university rocket flight, it just so happens that they get locked out of GPS at like 50 clicks, and then they're flying with nothing but accelerometers from 160-ish thousand feet to 250,000 feet. Then once they hit 250,000 feet, their accelerometers stop working, and everything after 250,000 feet from 250 to 338 is just simulated because they don't actually have any sensor data to go off of. So it's all just completely simulated, which is why they give such a huge plus or minus at the end. They say it hit 338 plus or minus 16,000 feet. Like, that's a plus or minus of 3 miles, bro. So
Right.
it's super weird. And then you look into, well, how does the GPS lock them out? And then you look into it and you find out, oh, there's this organization called COCOM, which actually administrates like a bunch of regulations. And for the United States has imposed regulations on them, forcing them to basically prevent anybody from utilizing the GPS network above that height and above a certain velocity too. And they claim the reason for it is a matter of the United States national security, so that people cannot use the GPS network to launch ICBMs.
It's not to prevent flat earthers from finding out stuff like you did, right? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, definitely not to, prevent people from utilizing the GPS network to actually like realize that altitudes and distances and things like that are being fudged.
I just wanted to go over that because that was a cool process that you did when just for your own curiosity. And I was just like, yeah, when people like us have a question, right? That's the kind of stuff that we do to find out. We don't go to Google and find the first result and go, oh, that's what it is. Right.
And
it sounds like you're underwater and I can't hear you on X.
Me?
Yeah, I can hear you over here fine, but
Sounds like
X,
you're
I can't
underwater.
hear you.
Yeah, so
I
the
think he can hear you fine.
real quick, I know people got their hands raised. I just want to add before I get off of that, the conclusion though, like that can be drawn from it, at least I think is logical to draw from it, is if we look at the claim of that Go Fast rocket that it said it went 72 miles high. Apparently, that 72 mile number that they got was based on an onboard module, which was a GPS module, but it was actually allowed to talk to the GPS network because the module they used was like a military module that they were somehow able to get a hold of. And so that means that, okay, we know their true altitude could not have been higher than 50 miles. I'll calculate it as like 49 miles max, right? Let's say it was 49 miles, okay, give or take. If the thing actually only went 49 miles high, but the GPS module was reading 72, what does that mean? Well, that means that like there's a scaling factor that's getting thrown in there. There's a fudge factor getting thrown in. It appears that the higher that they go, the faster that they're adding false altitude to the numbers. So what, like for us who look at all this stuff that like NASA and like SpaceX and satellite network operators and stuff say, if they're giving us numbers and it's all based on GPS, which it is, right? Then that would mean that we can't even, like, all their altitudes are going to be wrong too. They're going to be far below what the claims are. So, yeah, I just want to throw that in there.
Well, that's a pretty typical lie for men, though. I mean, right? 6 inches?
Yo, real fast. Check this out, because I want to get your guys' feedback while I'll keep working on it while you guys keep talking about whatever. But so it has like this AI option. So I just like, okay, change that to work. I'm making a petition, and then I let the AI do it. This is what it says. Okay, I think this may actually be the best route. Ironically, it says, "Send flat earther Witsit to space." It's the petition title, and it says, "The belief in a flat Earth, despite overwhelming scientific evidence to the contrary, has seen a resurgence in recent years. This petition proposes an innovative solution to this issue. Send a flat earther into space as part of SpaceX's upcoming Citizen program. In late 2024, SpaceX plans to launch its first civilian mission into Earth orbit by including a prominent self-proclaimed flat earther, Austin Whitsitt from Whitsitt Gets It. On this mission, we can provide undeniable proof of our planet's true shape. The idea is not just about disproving the flat earth theory, but also about promoting science education and critical thinking skills. A Pew Research Center survey found that 73% of American adults believe that misunderstanding of scientific facts is a major problem. By sending a flat earther into space and documenting their experience and reaction upon seeing Earth from above, we could create an impactful educational tool. This unique opportunity would allow us to confront pseudoscience head on while also making history in space exploration. Let's encourage SpaceX to consider this proposal for their upcoming Citizen program mission. Sign this petition today.
Did you say you had an AI do that or not an AI do that?
No, yeah, an AI did
That was
it.
bomb. That was bomb.
Yeah, it was great.
AI did it. You think I should do it like that?
I think it works. I think that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, as much as I hate AI, that sounds pretty good.
That's good, man.
That's like right up their alley, right?
It really is, dude. It's perfect. It's like it's what they want to hear. I found all of Pizio's data. So I posted that to the space, I think, when you did all that work. I found it in Discord, so thanks, Piezo, for ruining one of my favorite proofs or whatever.
Yeah, bro, you should take that image that you like linked as a file or whatever, and you should just clip those and make those pictures as a part of the message.
Oh, I thought that was the PDF that I linked. Let me see. No, nope.
You did link the. Yeah, well, you linked the PDF, but I'm just saying if you put it as images, it'll be a more. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, perfectionist. Hold on one second. I got you.
Bro, this is dope. I can hear Shane now.
Can you?
He was underwater for a while.
Is that bad? Who sounds like that?
Yeah, whose mic is buzzing?
It's terrible. I couldn't even tell it was him.
I already talked, but it's sphincter too.
Definitely get Brock.
Hey guys, thanks for hosting. I just had a quick question for Whitsitt. I had seen that you were recently trying to get on PPD and some other podcasts, and I want to say in one of maybe it was one of the Flat Earth Friday spaces, you're kind of talking to us about how we can help. Like you're kind of mentioning that there's a cheat code to us liking each other's post when tagging you in to try to get you on the shows.
Mm-hmm.
Did I remember that correctly?
Yeah, so what I do is I'll like tweet out there. They'll say, who do you want on the podcast next? I'll tweet it out and say, yo, tag me in the replies. Then I go and make a comment and I'll repost that. So that comment will get way more views than the average reply will, right? Because it's one of my individual posts. And then you go through and you like everyone that tags my name and you like my comment. So they'll rise up to the top.
Okay, cool. Also, I was kind of wondering, there's two big channels that I watch a lot, and on both of them, they both, well, one is Tim Pool's show, which I think would be great if you could get on there. I don't know how hard that is, but I do remember watching one of his episodes, and one of his co-hosts, Ian Crossland, kind of came out and was like, what's the deal with all this flat earth stuff? Is there any truth to it? And Tim kind of just like outright dismissed it and said, no, you know, they're crazy, whatever. And so it'd be really interesting to see if you could have a conversation with them. And also Louder with Crowder or Steven Crowder show. I want to say a couple of weeks ago, they randomly got in a conversation about flat earth and they were kind of being very mocking about it, which I like both of the shows. I watch them both daily, but that's one thing I would like to see them kind of bring up as an issue. I don't know if they would, but and I'm not sure if you know that Alex Jones also is friends with the Crowder guys show. He's like on his back, like he has a Mug Club membership with a bunch of other people that he helps support. And so I don't know if you have any backdoor connections with when you were on InfoWars, but maybe that might be a way to get into that show. But just throwing out suggestions. But those two are definitely really big. So it would be cool to see you,
I
get to that
accidentally
audience.
refreshed the tab. Can you add
No,
them
very
back,
cool,
Shane?
man. I'll add them to the list. I'm putting a list together.
Okay,
I'll see
great.
what I
And
can
yeah,
do.
just
I think Tim
I would
Pool would
say-
freak out. I'd be surprised, but we'll see.
Yeah, I would say too, just harp, but I would say keep telling people to do what what I mentioned in the beginning, because I started doing it and it looked like other people were starting to catch on to it and, liking each other's posts. So we're here to help you try to get the message out. So anything we can do, just let us know what we can,
Yeah, much love, brother.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to hop out and just in case some other people want to speak. So, thanks.
Thanks for coming up, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry I
thank you,
missed your
man.
message.
No worries.
God bless, brother.
Yeah, so I was thinking about the rocket, and I guess you could use barometric altimeters, or you can use radio altimeters that like bounce off the surface, right? To determine the altitude. I don't
No,
see
the
that.
barometric altimeters don't work at that altitude.
What don't?
100K or 100,000 feet's where the barometric altimeters top out at.
Can we design one that works differently with more accurate sensors that would expand higher or something like? Because I know that obviously they're meant to be accurate within the distances we usually fly, but those will actually work at higher distances or at higher altitudes if we expand the wafers inside, basically, like a larger one.
In order to even calibrate it, you're also going to need a vacuum chamber on the surface to do that.
Oh yeah, okay, I could see that. The other would be the radio. So why can't we just bounce radio from the rocket to the surface and then back up?
They've proposed that, and so the papers I was reading, like the university launch in 2019, right? They were saying we propose like doing another launch later and using other methods in order to actually be able to, measure this stuff once the GPS goes out and the accelerometer stop working. And that was one of the things they proposed. But as far as I know, they haven't done that. Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, it's a good question.
That's
right?
interesting. And also, apparently, we went all the way to the moon, but we can't get pictures higher than a certain altitude. It's like all the ones. It's ridiculous. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting too, though, is if you look at that video, and that video is not the only one. There's one of the people in here referred me. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Alan or Shane. Referred me to another video similar where an analysis had been done, and said the guy was talking about how the microgravity experienced by the rocket. There was like an extra 30 plus seconds of microgravity, and in this video that Shane put up in the Jumbotron, you can see that microgravity as well when the rocket reaches its peak at what I estimated to be 49 or less miles. It it breaks apart. The lower stage just separates. It starts to drift and float down, and then it also tumbles over and starts to drift down. And you can clearly see that they're just gently drifting, as if someone had put them in a puddle of oil or something and just gently pushed them, and they're just skimming out across the surface. It's really weird. They're definitely not hurtling at breakneck speeds of death towards the ground.
That's interesting, yeah, because the firmament could very well be like a different type of material than we're used to. It could be like a mixture of solid, liquid, and gas. And there was this myth I heard. It was in mythology. Basically, they went far enough south until there was the Straits of whatever, and they went through this area. And in the legend, they say that they encountered this ether-like material that is not gas, liquid, nor solid, but a combination of the three. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, and I think that whatever's up there causing this microgravity, it could either be some kind of strange field change effect, or it could be maybe a superfluid. We don't really know. The video doesn't show anything visually odd. You can't see some kind of weird fluid or anything. I don't, but we don't know that it would be visible anyway. And then two, you know, what if there is like liquid helium or liquid hydrogen up there? You get so high and it like changes states and gets really cold or whatever. I mean, who knows, bro? We really are. We're at the mercy of some of these agencies in terms of like having firsthand knowledge of this stuff. Unless we're willing to build a rocket and send it up, and then we can't even do that because we have to actually get approval for those things, bro. Like you have to file permits and pay money and do all this stuff and get permission. It's crazy how locked down the sky is of all things.
Has anyone's like the last one that hit the firmament from SpaceX, that little object that keeps pulsating something? Does anyone know what that is?
Oh, it looked like it was like drifting through water, kind of that picture.
Yeah, and it
that
kept
video.
pulsing. It kept pulsing something, like it was like trying to like, I don't even know what to say it was doing, but it was like trying to help it or something. If it's on the video, it looks like a little object that's flying around with the rocket after it hits it.
Behind it, like kind of behind a little orb behind it.
Yeah, and it keeps pushing like little circle orbs and helping it, or helping it, or I don't know.
Almost like it's pulsating and you can see like ripples going out from it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know. I think they might have been collecting data, right? I think they might have been like sound using some kind of sounding device and like measuring like the sounding in whatever's up there.
yeah, that could have been it. My theory is it was like they know they're going to hit it, so they sent up like another little object to keep trying to help it gain power or push through something. Like I said, just a theory, but it's weird.
Who else we got?
Are we getting to vibe there?
If you're a Glober and you're here, put your hand up.
Nah, they're not here, bro.
Yeah, it's funny how they don't join our rooms, but we fucking just destroy theirs.
Well, that's why we always accompany it with, "Oh, just come by and say it," because we know you won't. You'll disappear and be like,
Yeah, that
missing.
last room a couple days ago with Witzer came on, and you guys were, they had the topic, and then they switched it, and like, oh, we weren't here for this, but switched pretty quick.
Oh, and one last thing about these satellites too. Like we know that they're up there. I know an old old school flat Earth position was when you first learn about it, you think maybe the satellites are fake and blah blah blah. Like no, we know that they're up there, but you know, as Witsit has talked about a lot, you know, they account for real inertial forces in the equations that they describe in the math for some of the documentation for these things. But like that could be true. Like there, maybe you get high enough, and you know the cumulative and inertial forces from like the rotating sky can hold you in place. But even if that isn't true, right? I personally think that they still have other technology to be able to keep themselves suspended, right? Like even if all that was just a LARP that they're putting in this documentation, they still have thruster technology that would enable them to propel themselves off the electric field way up there because it's very, very dense and very high ionization when you get that high. So they have ionic thrusters that would be able to do the same thing if it's not the inertial forces. So
I wouldn't say that we know that they're up there, but the fact that the documentation about how they work debunks special relativity and debunks general relativity by accounting for real inertial forces, and it also accounts for variations in the speed of light. Like the fact that everything about how it works stands in the face of their theory and literally disproves their theory kind of indicates that it's probably there's something going on very real up there, right? Because why else? Like either I guess the other possibility would be that there's something else, like there's like a geocentric globe, but we know there's no curvature. So in any case, we know that the documentation does not appear to be fake. Let's put it that way.
Sasquatch had a hand.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on the last thing about the satellite. So it's just my belief. I don't have any evidence, but they do have something up there. And the whole thing with quantum locking that you've seen with the frozen disk go flying around a magnetic thing. I think that's something similar to what they might be using if it gets real cold up there. Uh, that's just my kind of theory. I don't have the background to really, analyze that technically. Um, but I don't think that there are people in like the ISS. So I think just the fact that they say, "Well, hey, we see the thing in the sky, and so the ISS is up there, so there must be people up there." They fake too much stuff to actually, if they really up there, they wouldn't need to fake any of it. So, my opinion is that yes, there might be something up there, and they might have some technology to some sling some satellites up there. But I don't think that it's very heavy, and I don't think that there's people on it. I mean, just the environment that they'd have to be in for their human safety, I think is at those speeds, and I think it's just I don't know that we have that technology to have somebody actually up there in those satellites.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Right, I'd agree that there's also
Well, if we
something up
do,
there.
it's certainly weird that they're faking it so often.
Well, yeah, I mean, if they were really there, they wouldn't have the need to fake it, right?
Well, I don't know, but let Alex Jones tell you. It's because there's a secret space program, bro.
He drank beers with his dad and looked through a telescope. He knows it all.
Yeah, I forgot that proof.
So last thing, go ahead.
Yeah, so just wait for Nibiru and then we can reveal the truth. Are you a victim of being Nibiru'd?
Dude, I was there. I fell for that. Yep. $100%. That's true. Yeah, that's the thing. Yep. Yeah, I knew it, dude. Dude, Einsteinian Sky Demon made that happen, Alan. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I'm a gold slave.
I will say though that I agree with the whatever's up there, it's not got people in it. Like even within the documentation that I've read, the like the way that these things are suspended in the air, I think that they have to minimize the weight as much as possible. I don't think like we've got like giant, stations that like are just loaded down with tons of weight and people and all this stuff on it. They specifically try to make these things as light as possible. And also, I don't think a person would be doing very well flying around at 17,000 miles an hour either. So.
With all that Skyland.
I mean, Zeppelins have been around forever, right? So of course they do. That would have naturally evolved.
Well, they killed Zeppelins.
And they could be hidden as well. They could be cloaked very easily.
Hell yeah.
Hey guys, so like I've been kind of in and out tonight. I listened to as much as I could. I was like doing some work stuff. So I'm not sure if y'all touched on this topic because I know y'all were kind of in the replies there earlier tonight of where this came up today on a post of mine. But can you give your thoughts like on everything orbiting around Polaris as opposed to the sun? I mean, from what I gather, that's how it looks here from Earth, obviously. The way we see it, and then Also, can you touch on like what that Robert guy replied with, where he said there's verifiable historical evidence. I'm trying to say exactly how he said it. He said verifiable historical evidence that proves Tuban, or however you say it, was in the center in 3000 BC, and that in 13,000 years from now, it will be like whichever, I forget the other star. And then also McToon said that Polaris actually isn't the center. It's like off by like 0.5 degrees or something like that. Another
No, it's
claim
true.
I've
It
never
makes a little.
heard.
It makes a little circle.
It makes a little circle. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there's like something that's directly in the middle. Polaris like moves right around it.
Okay. Which, you know, he wasn't the point at all. The point was just to say, like, how is everything like going around Polaris? You know, but of course he just
that
like
same central point.
strawmanned it with, you know, saying like, oh, it's going in circles, so nothing's orbiting it, blah blah. But you know,
Well, everything that's moving in, a circle that's bigger than that still moving around it, right?
right, exactly. So that's what he does. You know, I mean, I don't need to tell you that. Like, but anyways, yeah, I saw that Witsit, you did reply and say that you have a lot of respect for that Robert guy, which I saw other people that I know or that follow me and seem sincere reply similar things to him, saying like, "Hey man, I really respect your work, but you know, I think you're wrong on this one." Like, do you have any idea like what he would be talking about with like obvious historical evidence that proves there was a different star center?
No, people just say
No, I've already looked into that. It all comes back to they claim that one of the shafts in the pyramid was built to look at the old North Star. Trust me, bro.
Okay,
So,
that's what I would have assumed it was something like that.
Yeah, they say it changes like the degree.
but yeah,
of
I mean, he woke me up to a lot of stuff. He actually inspired the People Removed stream. About how there's a lot more fair-skinned nobilities in history that kind of people don't know about, and Buddha had blue eyes and all this crazy stuff. And he's pretty based about like these World War II aspects and stuff. So that's what I just instinctively commented that I saw his name, and then I saw like this other stuff he was saying, like the Eratosthenes and then the eclipse thing. I'm like, bro, this guy's bugging.
Yeah, that was why I didn't know who he was at first. The only reason I even replied to him as like kind of strongly as I did right away was because I noticed like, I mean, after I posted that video and it had like, I don't know, whatever, it was like in an hour maybe, or not an hour, probably like 30 minutes, had 80 likes or something. And I noticed there was a reply beneath it that had like 75 likes, which, you know, somebody I didn't recognize. That's like extraordinarily rare. Like to see that on one of our posts, and I was like, what is this? And then I read it and I was like, okay, it's some guy just talking real confident saying like, no, Polaris is in the center, blah blah. And then I click on his profile. He's got 90 something thousand followers. I was like, okay, well, that's probably why he's getting so much response on this. And then I noticed he retweeted his own reply, which is super weird, because like if you're just trying to like have a conversation or make a reply like, oh no, I kind of disagree with you, like very rarely do people go like retweeting their own replies. Now I mean, I've done it occasionally, I'm sure some of y'all have done it occasionally, but it's like kind of unusual. And if when you do it, it's because you've taken the time to like write something that's real important that you think a lot of your followers like will want to see or need to see, that has like, you know, a video or picture or something like that. But like this was nothing like that. He's basically just saying like, nah, and then he's like real confidently, and then he just reposted to 100,000 followers. I was like, man, that's kind of like, I mean, it's just a little annoying to be honest, because like he doesn't even know what he's talking about. So anyways, yeah, but it's cool. It would be cool if he actually would engage in with you guys and have a conversation or a debate or whatever. But and then like one last thing I was gonna say, during your debate the other day with Harrison, were you, when he just brought up the moon, were you trying to bring up the brightness, as far as like how bright it is and how ridiculous that is? Because I thought like I heard you kind of transitioning that a little bit. That was kind of like the main thing I was I don't know, I was thinking you would bring up to kind of like point out that what he was claiming about the moon and the heliocentric model, you know, being what it is, being kind of ridiculous. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't remember what all I was trying to say, to be honest. I think it's an interesting point for sure. The luminosity and then the inverse square law, and then the lack of hot spots and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah, I know you
I
kept
don't
getting cut off and in commercial breaks and stuff, but it's one of those things like where I mean that's like one of the first things. I mean, I tell people. In fact, that was the first thing my friend who woke me up to Flat Earth. That was the first thing he showed me. We walked outside of like a bar we were at one night, and when he had just mentioned like he'd been to a Flat Earth conference, yada yada, and it's already someone I really respected, so he kind of had my attention. And he pointed up at the moon, and he was like, "You think that's sunlight reflecting off a dusty gray rock?" And I was like, "Holy shit, that doesn't." No, that thing's it's bright. Like it's hard to even. It looks like a flashlight, you know. So, anyways, that's always something that stood out in my mind. But you definitely did a great job. I heard what you said earlier about people, needing to chill, and Harrison's replies, and I agree with that for sure. Hopefully we can get you on some other big ones, and back on there again.
yeah. I think like a moderated debate would be great because then I can like actually debate it. Where like I was trying to be polite and keep it, because honestly, this is what I noticed, which is that he was actually kind of chomping at the bit, ready to have it be kind of this like aggressive thing. Like, I mean, like I think I just cooled it down over and over.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I don't know if people picked up on it because he is, he's like
Yeah.
professionally a speaker, but
All right.
so with the moderator, that helps automatically with that situation. And so I don't know. That was just like my view the whole time. I don't really want him to be like, bro, I don't want to have to deal with this again, you know?
Right. No, for sure, I get that. But like going in, like how did it? One thing I've heard you talk a lot about the like in the aftermath, like in Spaces and Flash Friday, and then in your streams. One thing you may have mentioned, but I haven't caught. If you have, is like how did it? Like, what were you thinking going into it? Like, what did you think it was going to be? Like, what is it? Did it go like you thought it was, just as far as like how it played out, and then like as far as what the sort of format and his demeanor and stuff was going to be?
No, I thought I was gonna be able to screen share, and well, I don't know. I thought he was gonna like address my points more. He didn't really do that. He just hand wave dismissed and went to another point. I did kind of forecast the like just pepper me with questions thing because that's what everyone does. But I addressed that in my opener, right? Like I addressed like everyone's instincts to just ask how anything works, and if someone doesn't have an answer, they're like, oh man, flat Earth debunked. And I also addressed falsifications independent of replacement, and I even gave the analogy of adoption, and then said it's about falsification of motion and curvature are the primary points. And then and then when you brought up the moon, I kind of entertained it for a second. I said, but again, this is kind of what I was talking about, right? Like really, it comes down to if the Earth's curving, or if the R value is true, or if it, and like it just it just wouldn't go there. I mean, I think everyone kind of knows that's their experience, though, right? Like globe earthers are terrified of directly going to defend the R value, like they hate it.
Right. Yep. Absolutely, because then it falsifies everything. No, you did a great job though. It was not only did a great job representing us and like just the way you carried yourself, but also even though he was being like that and constantly, just saying nah and changing the subject, I mean, you still dunked on him several times. I mean, with the like, I'm trying to remember the examples, like the what's underneath this thing, like that was a pretty clear dunk on him. Like even if you were on, whatever the globe Earth side of you, and you heard what you said in response to that one, that was definitely a dunk. There were some other ones too. So you did a great job, and then we're obviously all looking forward to Mindshock going and back and counting all the fallacies. So I'm sure that'll be fun. I'm sure we're all going to be tempted to like reply to that guy with him constantly. But I think even though myself and some of us have like, been quiet in his replies since then, it's going to be tempting to, want to reply with little clips of Mindshock counting the fallacies and stuff, but I
think this is the move, right?
Hold off. We can
that's the
definitely hold
move.
off if you think it'll help. We like for sure. Not only if I will, but I will make sure that if I see anyone do or anyone I know, I'll say the same. Like, let's just chill. Let's not rub it in his face. So,
like, I think that's the move. Like, if it starts to get to where they're clearly not going to do it again, well, then maybe you just like whatever, like just open the floodgates. It is what it is, right? But like almost pressure them into it. But otherwise, I think it could backfire. I think it could jeopardize it, because that would make it's going to be frustrating for me if that happens, because I wore kid gloves, and like if anyone's ever seen me debate,
Yeah.
It's obvious I did that. Like, you
Mhm.
know, and I did that because I thought a lot about all of it. And I'm like, yo, I don't want to have it just be awful where someone just turned off or turns it off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, it is. I think that if we could just have a moderator with a real debate or structure or format, like we'd be ace in the future. That's kind of the goal.
Right. Do they ever do that actually on InfoWars? Have a moderator?
No, but he mentioned the idea to me. Like he like after the show, he was like, I think we're definitely gonna have to do a follow up. This is the most popular show I've ever had. And
Yeah.
he
That
said
helps.
like he said I'd be down to even do like an in person event, sell tickets, have a moderator. That's what he said.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. I mean, if he would do that, I mean, he better start preparing now. I mean, he has to know like what he's up against. He said he's watched your debates before. Like he said he's watched several of your debates. I mean, he has to understand like he's way out of his depth. Like not just in these topics, but I mean, if this guy is someone who is into debates and is debating people, I'm sure he at least understands debate a little bit. And anyone who watches you debate, whether or not they think the Earth is round, you're obviously one of the better debaters on the planet, if not the best, according to people like Mindshock who study these things for a living. So a guy like that, he has to know what he's up against. So I mean,
Well, I think that's another thing, bro. Like I'm kind of an empath, so like overall, I'm pulling for Harrison, right? And like I pull for people on Infowars. So like I didn't want to like embarrass him. Like I would, if I saw his face, I could see like the nervousness where it was going to be embarrassing. He didn't know stuff, and I wanted to ease him into it and make it this real like easy thing where I'm not just dunking on him. Like I was super conscious of that the whole debate. Like that's the most ironic part of people claiming that like I lost something. It's like I was literally like extremely attentive to trying not to like just completely embarrass him. You know, like I was
Yeah.
extremely gracious.
I mean, have you heard anyone like is a real person who's like not just gonna say whoever won or lost, who said that they thought you lost that debate? I don't think even the people who may have like whatever just been like, yeah, it's a globe and yeah, go Harrison, their fan base. I mean, I don't think intelligent people would have like listened to the whole thing and thought like he was making more good points than you, because most of his was just like no, and like he wasn't even really making points. It's like
It's just appealing to incredulity.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we'll see how it
Anyway.
goes, man. I have high hopes for it, bro. I think it's all gonna work out. Like obviously if he starts backpedaling on it, then Robot Polisher included, right? Everyone would just start dropping stuff where he would basically be pressured into it. So
For sure. Do you have any other debates coming up?
I don't think so. I have a lot of appearances. I guess I'm supposed to be quote unquote, I don't know, it's a flat earth discussion with the Lore Lodge guy. And then I have a few other big ones leading up to that. So like May's already kind of packed. I don't think there's any debates per se. Although, like when they say discussions, that's what it is. Like a hostile interview. Oh, I think I may have a flat earth debate with that. I do with the Pastor Anderson. You guys know who that is.
That's not the one guy. The one guy was Pastor Duffy, right? This is a different pastor.
Wait, the dude who's like hateful, really, really screamy and yelly about gay people and stuff.
Yeah, the guy that went like mega viral for being like super intense and aggressive and hateful as a preacher.
When is this?
Sometime in May. I can look real fast. But guess who the moderator is? So the Infowars producer wanted me to do it, and I was kind of hesitant, but then I'm like, okay, fine, I'll have your back, right? Because I like to make connects. And she went to find a moderator for it, and guess who she got to moderate the debates?
I wouldn't even know where to begin to guess.
Owen Benjamin.
Oh,
no way, bro.
Yeah. That's
so
perfect.
funny.
That's perfect.
I know.
Because he's obviously knows what's up. He's smart, and he's not gonna let that guy run all over you. And also, he's gonna bring a lot more eyeballs in too, because it's Owen Benjamin.
Yeah, because they just had their YouTube nuked. But so like me and Owen kind of mentioning it will make it maybe have some eyes. Yeah,
for sure.
Well, really, what I want, there's a few things I could use help with. So like, as from the community as a whole, right? It's like going forward, we kind of like help me battle in the comments. I don't want to reply to all these people, but like also just taking out like short little clips that are like funny or whatever. and pumping them out, right? Because like, for example, with the Anderson thing, right? Like no one may be able to watch that. They had a huge YouTube channel, but it just got deleted. But like people kind of know who he is. And if there's like a super funny part with Owen, like can get that to go viral on X, or like even just the clip of Alex Jones, like just kind of incoherently rambling and then me just laughing like that, like just a few seconds right there. Like people helping me make little short clips because I just do not have the time to do that. That's maybe the most beneficial part of these appearances, is to get those like moments that get people interested.
For sure, yeah, and I mean, I don't know if you noticed, like, in fact, it's funny because I was gonna bring this up real quick if we had time, but I mean, I've probably made, I don't know, 50 clips of you at least in the past 6 months. In fact, that's why I have all my followers on here. I mean, I make other videos too about flat earth and stuff, but I mean, most of it's quite frankly just from like making little clips of you in debates, like stuff on gravity and yada yada. I mean, I know the one I made the other day of you on Sam Tripoli's podcast. I saw you reposted it, so I guess you saw it. But it most of this, a lot of this was before you were on Twitter, so I don't even know if you were active on here, so I don't know if you've seen most of it. But what I've been thinking of doing in the past, I was actually gonna do it last week, but then I got busy making a video for Jaren, and but I'm gonna post like all the clips I've ever made of you explaining a topic, and these are like short. They're all like 2 to 4 or 5 minutes long, like for people on Twitter because I have short attention spans. And then I'm gonna like put it all in one video and then post it on here, and I'm gonna index it to where they do, now on Twitter you can put the timestamps just like a table of contents, and they can just click on the timestamp and it'll take them straight in the video to that topic. So if someone's like if there's people in the replies talking about like satellites, they can just go to this video and just click satellites, and it'll be like it'll be you explaining, how satellites can work, like the physics and equations can be up there in orbit, like you've explained, and stuff like that. Or if somebody's talking like, wild about gravity in their replies, they can go, clip that, or they can just listen to it and then know the information, and then they can go type it and explain it themselves, that sort of thing. So I think it'll be helpful. As far as like, as far as like the short ones that are funny, I mean, I think a lot of the clips I've made from your debates actually are funny, because just how bad you dunk on people. Like there's one I made of remember that William guy you debated when you were he said I don't think did he say word salad, or he said something like the words you're saying don't mean anything because you said centripetal. And then he was talking about his opener of how we know gravity's mass attracting mass, and then like you dunked on him like so incredibly hard. It was hilarious. So stuff like that is funny. Like the one you mentioned earlier with Alex Jones, I mean that stuff's kind of good for like shorts, like on, well, I guess like TikTok and maybe shorts on YouTube. I mean, it can get some mainstream viewers, that sort of thing. But it's also like I think the goal is to get people to like follow you and just like understand there's some good arguments there at minimum.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because like if they just view like a funny video of Alex Jones, like they're just gonna like, there's crazy Alex, you know what I mean? Like I think there needs to be something in it to where like they understand.
Oh, well, what I think would be funny with that is like Harrison makes that argument about what's in the sky, and then he says, "But I mean, obviously, I've heard, you can't pick up the pool ball and say that the pool table is a ball, and I agree with that logic. Obviously, you can't just assume that the ground is what the sky is." And then Alex Jones comes on, and that's what he says.
Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like Alex Jones one's argument, like went against Harrison, but
right.
No, I agree with you. Like the idea is for it to be informative and somewhat entertaining. Oh, by the way, I just looked this up. The debate is May 14th on a Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern.
It's gonna be where's it gonna be?
That's a good question. I'm gonna have to ask. Like I should probably stream it on my YouTube. That's like the most I can offer, right? Because their
It's not in
YouTube
person?
got nuked. No.
Right.
I don't think so. I that's what I really want to do though. Start doing in person debates because it's totally different energy.
Right.
And
Like,
people
well,
aren't in chats.
How
and
is it
people aren't
different though?
reading Google.
How is it different?
because people can't like re-Google and get all their answers, and
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
and like they have to maintain eye contact, and it's just like it's so easy to pretend like you're super confident when you're not in person. Like when I debated Leo in person, totally different than when I debate him on MDD, right? Like totally different. So
Yeah, I guess it's just like poker. Like when you're sitting right across from somebody, you can like read their energy and all that sort of thing. That's really interesting. That's really interesting. But yeah, I guess I know they're probably trying to wrap up tonight, so I'll just I'll land it there. But yeah, keep up the good work, guys. Ollie.
oh yeah, thanks for nice talking to you, man.
Magically so, yes.
I saw you on my phone. Sorry, dude.
Oh, tune in tomorrow night on Aether Cosmology for Geomagnetism, Aether Roundtable number 29.
And sign the petition to send me to space. It'll be underneath my post.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming.